Ghana for Macho, and this is the final weekday of the year, the 29th day of the year 2023, in the year of our Lord 2023. God has been gracious to us, hasn't he? We're alive, we're well, even if you're not so well, it's been quite a year. We're still counted among the living. This morning, I just want all of us to take time and do some introspection and show some gratitude for this Friday that has met us as well. Not everyone had it that way. Just a few days ago, I heard of someone who impromptu just passed on. A few days ago as well, we were talking about the incident. In fact, just about 2 days ago, the incident in the OT region with those two young men, vibrant lifeblood of our economy and our national life, losing their lives when national security operatives hit them. I'm not laying blame anywhere. I'm only saying that if you're alive, it's not a gift you ought to take for granted. And so this morning, I encourage you, just reflect on the year and thank God. No matter how bad or good your situation, let's thank God. He's been gracious to us. My name is Benjamin Akakpo. This is the AM Show. Now, coming up, I'm going to be serving you the news in a bit, right after which, for the news review, we'll be joined by our regional correspondents across the length and breadth of Ghana. And then we'll get into AM Sports with Mubarak Haruna. Today, he's going to be delivering a conversation on the most topical issues in the sporting arena this year. Followed by my own recap of blunt thoughts. I've titled it Total Recall 2023 in retrospect. There's a whole lot I'm going to be reminding you of that we did here in the course of the day, and hopefully it can shape 2024. Now for the big stories, guess who is coming through? Wanlov the Kubolor. Yeah, he's going to show his Kubolor self here. It's going to be an all-encompassing conversation on topical issues this year. You know how he is. He shares his thoughts. He's pretty blunt, and he'll be joining me. After which, it's Christmas. It's that season. Manuel Bless will join the conversation. He's a Christian artiste, so to speak. His genre is Christian music. He'll be joining us with his mellifluous voice to share with us some beautiful songs for Christmas and beyond. Then we'll tell you about the exploits of the Bank Hospital and how it's the first private hospital in Ghana to perform a kidney transplant. This hospital brings to mind many things. Many years ago when it was shut, I did a story on it, posted stuff on social media. I got a lot of backlash for it, but eventually it was opened. So I have a special fond memory of that facility. Anyway, stick and stay. Let's serve you the news up next. We're so grateful that he stayed with us for the AM News. Let's head into our first story now. The OT Regional Minister, Joshua Makubu, is asking youth in Yadzo to remain calm while authorities work to resolve the disturbances around the deaths of two footballers that sparked protests in the area 2 days ago. On Wednesday, some of the youth besieged the residence of the district chief executive, demanding his removal. Correspondent Peter Senu caught up with the minister after an emergency district security council meeting in KJB. There's more in this report.
7th of December 2023, the youth of Yaju, Ahamansu and surrounding communities besieged the residence of the DCE demanding his removal over the death of two footballers in their communities. The footballers met their death on 25th of December in a head-on collision with the National Security Cocoa Board Task Force vehicle. The protest to the office and residence of the DCE prompted an emergency dissect meeting. The meeting was to deliberate on how to ensure peace, law and order in the district. Deputy Regional Minister who attended the meeting mentioned the following as some of the resolutions reached.
We conveyed the condolences of His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the President of the Republic and his Vice President, His Excellency Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, to the bereaved families, the people in Yajo, the Amansu traditional area, and the people of KJB district, as well as the entire OT region. Then the second point was an appeal, where we appealed to the family through the chief of Yajo, and then with the representatives of the Paramountcy of Amansu and then the Dodo Paramount chief. We appealed to them to call on the youth in town, that it was not deliberate. National Security or Cocoa Board has no issues with our brothers who met their untimely death. They were not being pursued, and there was no any outstanding issue between them. It was purely an accident, and they should be aware that we know it was an accident, and for that matter, they should calm down. The third thing was that we gave them our assurance that they are Ghanaians, and every Ghanaian deserves justice. And we were not going to sit down. Police had already commenced investigation into it. We'll follow up to the conclusion stage of the investigation, and whatever is relevant for prosecution, we do.
The minister called on those who are into smuggling of cocoa beans to neighboring country Togo not to take advantage of the death of the footballers to disturb the peace and security in the district.
We are aware that this incident, some people want to take advantage. Those who are seriously into cocoa smuggling, we want to use them as a point of contact to continue cause confusion so that there will be distraction at the front of Cocoa Board and the national security for them to continue to smuggle. They should consider this as what they call it, an accident, and let us resolve the issue amicably.
Some traditional leaders from the various communities who took part in the meeting also gave their pieces of advice.
Calmness is already starting, and the regional ministers have assured us that whatever he will have to do in his capacity to make sure the parents of the deceased are well taken off, and also make sure that whoever is in offense of doing this thing will be prosecuted. That alone has given them calmness. And it's left to us, Nananum, and the elders of the communities to carry this message to the youth, for them not to go ahead to do any other thing again. No, because all what we need from KJB District and Akanwa Traditional Congress is peace.
The newly elected assembly member for the area, Nephew Adam, has also called on his people to remain calm while authorities work to resolve the impasse.
What I want to encourage my community or the youth of the community is what? To remain calm. I think everything is resolved because the lost soul will never come back again. You all know that death is inevitable and then it is go past and gone. So what I need to my community to understand is what? To remain calm, peace, and then peace will prevail. I think that will bring the development that we are all looking for. And it is very unfortunate I've not been inaugurated, but I've started feeling these challenges, and I think this will be the first and then the last challenge that I will have.
Peter Senu for Joy News.
In our next story, the chiefs and people of the Ketu South municipality have honored Divine Boha for being the 2023 National Best Nurse and Midwife. He was awarded for his volunteerism and philanthropic works, which contributed to improved health services for neonatals at the Ketu South Hospital. There is more in this report.
Divine Boha, a product of the University of Health and Allied Sciences, began his nursing profession about 4 years ago. While serving, he committed himself to philanthropism, aiming to alleviate the plight of the underprivileged and enhance healthcare delivery in his jurisdiction. The last 4 years saw him securing funds for several humanitarian projects. Prime among them was the construction of a neonatal intensive care unit at the Ketu South Municipal Hospital. His philanthropic works, coupled with his commitment to his nursing profession, saw him adjudged the 2023 District Best Nurse and Midwife, 2023 Regional Best Nurse and Midwife, and eventually 2023 National Best Nurse and Midwife.
I was granted a 42,000 Australian dollars to establish a well-equipped neonatal intensive care unit that will include modern technologies that support neonates' health. As a young nurse, I have dedicated myself to community service and volunteerism, and the association that I belong to identified that and decided to honor me with a brand new car and some other awards. And I want to say a very big thank you to the GRNMA and all nurses and midwives across Ghana that this honor has been done me, and this can only be the doing of the Lord, and I can only do more for my people and my community.
During a tour of the Volta region, he was celebrated for his commitment to serve humanity and eulogized for achieving such a great feat within the first 4 years of his nursing career.
He's a simple, honest, hard-working, and visionary person. Very, very visionary. Any task you give to him, he will execute it, and that becomes efficiency. And so, if working for 3 or 4 years in his life, he has won this award, then by simple mathematical calculation, the next 5 years, if 3 years is equal to national award, then 3 years is equal to...
The paramount chief of Aplau traditional area, Togbi Ajongaga Amenyafiti the Fifth, said he identified the potential of Mr. Kpoha, hence advised him to remain committed to his nursing profession.
We must follow politics, man. We must follow politics, man. You ain't your best. Well, how are you? Politics are going to but thank you. I don't know how are you? Politics will sink you. But when you don't let Doya that she, no matter how are you? Politics yoga.
Mr. Kpoha was honored by the Aplau Traditional Council for his exemplary lifestyle, serving as a nurse in the area. Fred Kwame Asari, Joy News.
Now, the timely intervention of fire service personnel from the motorway and Bost fire stations prevented the grid co-pilots from going up in flames when a fuel tanker with 18,500 litres of diesel overturned on the N1 near the TT Brothers Junction in the Kpong Katamanso municipality of the Greater Accra region. Carlos Caloni was on hand and now reports.
The fuel tanker with registration number GN 1905-16 was heading to Kumasi from Kpong with 18,500 litres of diesel on board. The truck, upon reaching the TT Brothers traffic light, skidded off the road, overturning in the process. Here is an eyewitness, Karim Mohammed, narrating the incident to Joy News.
This is the cause. As she's coming, before you realize, it's just near a pickup, which is there were like 4 or 5 passengers on board. If you try to hit the pickup, he might cause damage of 7 or 8 cars. So for safety, he just landed and passed through the road foot, which caused this accident. That's all. But the driver and the mate, they are all safe. It was 13,500 litres. 13,500 litres. It's going to Kumasi. He loaded from one of the depot in Tema called Vena. That's all. We are the remaining of the products on board. We are just transferring to the other car for safety.
With the diesel still gushing out at the time of Joy News' arrival at the scene, many passers-by were seen busily scooping the petroleum product, while the owner had arranged for the remainder to be transferred into another tanker. Speaking to Joy News, ADO2 Enoch Isel of the motorway fire station says considering the close proximity of the capsized fuel tanker to the Gridco main lines from Akosombo, all efforts were being made to avert any national disaster on the lines.
So at 14:20 hours, we had a call from our master control that there's an accident on the Tumu Highway near TT Brothers. So immediately at 14:21 hours, myself and my men were dispatched to the scene. So we got here at 14:32 as a result of the traffic heading towards Dowinya. So immediately we got to the scene, we got that the accident involved the fuel tanker containing diesel actually. So we tried coordinating the police, and when we got here, the police were already at the scene. So the police assisted us by coordinating the police and sending the standbyers back in order for us to do our work. So currently, we told them to call another tanker in order for them to transfer the diesel that's flowing or that's on the ground or that's leaking actually. So I think the tanker is here as you all can see. So currently they are transferring the diesel into another tanker. So right from there, we need to clear the scene watch the place and actually clear off all the debris on the road. So currently that's what we are doing. But the casualties that were involved, they've been already taken to the hospital. Yeah, so right from the follow-up, they see their condition. Since we are not the pilots, as you all can see, it could be serious if there's any spark. But that's why we are here, to ensure the safety of the people and also the community. So actually the two tenders that are here, one is DPT, of which that one contains water in foam, of which that one can be used for blanketing. And also the other one behind us is full of water. So actually we've put in things in measures in order to mitigate any unforeseen circumstances that will happen.
While the owner of the truck is still counting the loss, concerns have been raised by road users about the deplorable state of that portion of the road which they believe could have led to the accident. Carlos Caloni, Joy News, Bunkatamanso.
In our next story, the Bono East Regional Manager of the Environmental Protection Agency, Bright Anthony Dua, wants Ghanaians to adopt upcycling, a creative approach to repurposing plastic waste by transforming it into new and useful products as a way of dealing with the country's plastic waste challenge. Mr. Dua, who was speaking at a creative design and upcycling program in Techiman, said the move would also provide jobs for the teeming unemployed youth. Anas Sabit has more in this report.
Upcycling represents a variety of processes by which old products get to be modified and given a second life as they are turned into a new product. Upcycling, beyond its environmental benefits, also offers businesses a way to reduce costs and increase profitability by repurposing existing materials and products. By doing so, businesses can save on procurement costs, waste disposal costs, and production costs, while also creating new revenue streams. To help empower the youth to take advantage of this innovative initiative, Agrico Hub held an upcycling conference to raise awareness on the need to adopt innovative approaches towards waste reduction and sustainable living. George Antribosiakun is the Chief Executive Officer of Agrico Hub.
As a hub, we see that more like a social responsibility because we believe that when it comes to waste management, it's our collective efforts. Everybody should get involved. So, we are taking it to another level whereby we are saying that we should be innovative about waste that we generate. And we are saying that waste management is not only about throwing the waste away, it's not only about dumping it in various dumping sites, but how we are using the various waste to produce some meaningful products.
George Antribosiakun charged the general public to make good use of their waste products to help save the environment as well as make money out of it.
The campaign has gone out. People now know that when you have waste, it's not only trash. Waste is not trash. Waste is a product it's a raw material that you can use to produce other products, and that's what this program has been all about.
Bono East Regional Director of the Environmental Protection Agency, Bright Anthony Dua, encouraged the reuse of plastic waste as a means of helping minimize plastic waste across the municipality.
You and I know that most of the polythene bags that we see in our municipality continue to be one of the most singular threats when it comes to environment. Plastics are choking our river bodies. Plastics are hindering even farming activities. So if the youth at this stage can put some of these things into reuse, it is very, very encouraging, and it promotes sustainable development. So for us as an agency or as environmentalists, we really will encourage and promote this, because this industry will not only create jobs for the people, but it will also clean the environment.
He wants the general public to segregate their waste as it will help promote organic farming, a move, he said, would help boost agricultural activities across the region.
Considering our region here, where most of our waste, greater percentage of it is our waste stream, when you look at it, it's organic. If we embark on waste segregation, at least this organic could be put into proper use, compost, and this compost could also be plowed back into agriculture. And you can imagine, when we promote organic farming, the kind of money it will bring to us. So we stand a greater opportunity, and for that matter, we must educate the people and promote investors. So when investors come into the system, will really help us in the way. And that will go a long way to really solve our food security challenges.
Reporting for Joy News, Anas Sabit, Teachman.
Thank you for staying. That's how we cap off the news. But stay with us. The news review is up next. And like I said, we're going to go to our correspondents across the different regions for their reflections on what 2023 has been. Tuesday. Welcome back on the AM show. Time now for the news review. Today, it is going to come to us from our correspondents. And that doesn't mean you cannot share your thoughts on what we're going to be discussing. So shoot us your messages via the live stream. We'd love to hear from you. And if you find yourself in these catchment areas or regions where we're going to be placing a focus, you can also share your thoughts with us on them. Now, this segment is always brought to you by Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. What they're offering you, it's not too late. You can still project for the year ahead. If you're a man, prostate screening for free. If you're a woman, fertility screening for free. All you have to do is make your way to any branch of Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. Here in Accra, they can be located at Spintex opposite the Shell signboard. Then there's Kumasi Kronoma here behind the Angel Educational Complex. There's Takra Dianaji State Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanswa and Siamanzama. Their call lines are 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. Leading us to the very start of the news review, and the correspondents joining us this morning. From the OT region, we have Peter Senu. And then from the Upper West region, we have Rafiq Salam. We all know him. Wow. And then from the Bono East region as well, another strong man, Anas Sabit. And my very own Peter Senu, our OT regional correspondent. Recently, he was bringing us the scoop on the killing of those two. My brothers, instead of just saying my colleagues, my brothers, good morning. Welcome on the AM show.
Hi, good morning, Ben. Good to see you again.
Anas Sabit and Rafiq Salam. Salam alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I knew Rafiq would get into the elective ones. Anyway, good to have you gentlemen join us for this conversation. There have been ups and downs, pluses and minuses, different stories that you've reported across the length and breadth of 2023. Very recently, I spoke to some of you again. I'd like to give each one of you the opportunity of starting with your general assessment of 2023 from the perspective of your reportage in your respective regions. So general overview before we get into any specifics. I will start with you, Rafiq Salam.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. I will say that 2023...
Rafiq, for some reason, I can't hear you too well. I can hear you, but I can't hear you too well. If you could just speak up a little for me, it's fine.
I'm saying that the year 2023 is an eventful year for me, and also the Upper West region. We've got you interesting stories, and then also stories that made people to sit up and also to do positive things for the region, which really improve the lives of the people. One story that came into mind has to do with this theater lamp at the West District Hospital, whose the Edward Foundation came to the aid of the people by giving them 35,000 Ghana cedis, and then also they also added some small amount of money, and then they were able to get 2 theater lamps. So it's just a case of buy one, get two free.
I remember that story and how pathetic it was. But do go ahead, Rafiq.
And then also, this was a story that really sensitized down the spine of health authorities in the region here. And then, but later, the Edward Foundation Edward Boache Foundation came to the rescue of this hospital. And then the authorities and also the people of Wawes, especially Wochao, were really happy about this donation that they got. And so they are really happy with what Joy News did for them. The other stories have to do with the nature of our roads, which are in deplorable. One promise that I think that which has not been able to fulfill has to do with the Tumu Highway. The roads in the Sisala enclave, I can say, are the west in the Upper West region. And then if you even take a place like Lamuse, Lamuse is the only district in the Upper West region that you can have a scintilla or a blade space of bituminous surface in that particular area. And so the people of the Sisala enclave were not really happy with government when government brought this issue of the market access roads that will deal with about 620 kilometers of roads in the Upper West region. And these Sisala enclave being the bread basket of the region, and if even for that matter, the highest producing maize area in the country were left out. So you remember, I even have to do another story which authorities at the Ghana Highways Authority and also the Minister of Highways were not also really pleased with. You remember the Minister for Roads and Highways went to move somewhere around 2021 and promised the people that within 3 months he was going to not only lift Tumu to have better roads, but giving them an asphalt overlay. As we speak now, more than 2 years, Tumu doesn't have that. There has not been any improvement in roads in Tumu. You remember also this roads minister on this way to Tumu on one of the programs even had a flat tire around JFC area. And so the people laughable will tell you that it was that ghost that came that visited him. And even when he made that promise and said that he was going to give Tumu an asphalt overlay, the people gave him a smoke, but they refused to give him the hat. So that when he completes the job, he should come for the hat. But he said that he begged and pleaded with the people that at least let him touch the hat, so that when he finished, he will come for the hat. As we speak now, that road is still not done, and so that worry. But
just to stay on that point. Recently, we had the Member of Parliament for Sisala West come here into the studio, and he mentioned, like you said, it's the breadbasket not just of that region, but in fact, in maize production, they are the highest producer, if I'm not mistaken, in the country. Yet, even roads, and so according to the Member of Parliament for Sisala West, Mr. Sukbaru, some of these farmers are smuggling the produce into Burkina Faso. Again, he says that some people there, because of the bad roads and even the district hospitals, when you go there, sometimes even paracetamol will be a problem. So some of them are entering Burkina Faso to seek health, remedies. Is that something you are aware of?
Very, 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 very. The intro use played sick hospital. I don't want to take the wind out of the sails of the editors, but you saw that somebody was speaking in Tumu and says that there was nothing in this hospital. That really paints a mental picture of the situation in the Sisala enclave. These are people that they think that government doesn't care about them. In the social enclave, just a few kilometers, you are into neighboring Burkina Faso. When you take the Tumu stretch and also or the Bolu stretch, few minutes you are there. There are some communities in the social enclave that that you move into Burkina Faso before you even get to the places like Okroma and other areas. And what interesting thing and even worrying I think about is that when you let me take the Tumu stretch, that's what where I am familiar with. When you are in Tumu and you are going into Burkina Faso, going through the Leo area, that's Leo is in Burkina Faso. When you pass the border post where the customs excise prevent the SEPS officials are, then you move a little bit. That will be the end of the road for Ghana. But in between, there is a buffer zone between Ghana, which is normally called the no man's land, between Ghana and Burkina Faso, their border. The Burkina have been able, their government has been able to tar from their side, their border. They passed through the no man's land, the buffer zone, tarred it, and left it at our border.
And that is exactly what Mr. Sukwaru told me.
Yes, they have even done more than the no man's land. And so, when you are from Ghana and you are entering Burkina Faso, I have been there, I think about 3-4 occasions. There's a beautiful hotel there, because of this suspected terrorist attack, that one can do holiday in there, in Burkina Faso. People from the Eastern Enclave used to go there a lot because they have very good roads. Immediately you pass the customs barrier, you see beautiful, good roads in that particular area. At least in Ghana, I've always said that if we can't do anything, at least let's have good roads for our people. And I've always maintained that in the Upper West region, we don't need that many hospitals.
Right.
We don't need that many hospitals. What we need is good roads. Because there's nowhere in the Upper West region that can take you more, if you have good roads, that can take you more than 2 hours to go. The Cesarea Enclave to be like the longest. But to me, it's about 136 kilometers. That can take you more than 2 hours to go if you have a very good car, good ambulance. And so that we can centralize specialists at one location, probably in Wa.
Right.
So that if somebody is sick in some of these areas, with good roads, they can at least transport the person, the patient to the hospital. But here is the case, every district, you can't have those specialists in all the 11 municipalities and districts in the Upper West region. So if we have better roads, that will at least serve our purpose.
All right, so interesting.
In one of my rounds, I around the Bulenge Tosa area, I bumped into a woman who was going for antenatal at the Bulong Health Center.
Yeah.
And the woman fell off from the motorbike.
Yeah.
In front of, because of bad roads.
Right.
Why should this 21st century, we're still doing roads. 60 years in this country, Ghana is still doing roads. At least we should have passed this thing.
Right, 63 years and counting. Just hold for me, Rafiq Salam. Let me also bring in Anas Sabit to give us some perspective on some of the stories he's followed in the course of this year, 2023. Of course, interestingly, Anas, we've had a year of roads on about 3 occasions. Year of roads. And the president himself has touted that they have, I think the roads minister as well, they've put forth the largest component of roads across the country. From where you report, that is the Bono East region, what has been the tail of the tape when it comes to infrastructure? But let's start with roads. Give us your general overview.
Ben, just like Rafiq, stated, the Bono East region is equally having challenges with its roads infrastructure. A lot of people across the country might have heard the almighty Atibubu, Amantin, or Atibubu Kwame Danso Road. I remember in 2020, before the elections, the president himself, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, was in the region. There was a program held in Atibubu where that particular road was given out to contract, and they were told that in 18 months or so the road is expected to be completed entirely. It's a stretch between Atibubu and then Kwame Danso and then through to KGG. As I speak to you, the road is yet to be completed.
It appears there have been a lot of these promises, huh? You see that Rafiq Salam says the minister came there, made a promise that in 3 months, it's been 2 years, promise not fulfilled, so he's not got his hat. Here too, he made promises. What were the promises again?
If I'm to mention the number of promises the Roads Minister, Amakon, made in 2020, before the 2020 elections, honestly, you marvel. I remember when he came to Techiman, there was a program held at the Valley View University auditorium. I remember vividly how he indicated that the Techiman-Nkranza road is going to be dualized. And the people of the area were excited because it is one road that, even though tarred, but has been having lots and lots of defects. I think it was tarred during the Jerry John Rawlings era. Techiman, Nkranza, Techiman, Sunyani, loss of potholes, loss of sharp curves, the unavailability of speed, road signs along the road. So when he said that government is aiming at dualizing that particular stretch, the people of the area were excited. Unfortunately, nothing, absolutely nothing has been done with regards to this road. But I was telling you about this Atibubu Kwame Danso Road, which has been on almost all, past governments, radar. None of the presidents I know in the country have never visited the Kwame Danso KGG area. Talk of the former President John Kufuor. I remember how he used to visit this area. The late President Mills, former President John Mahama has been there on a number of occasions. Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, few weeks before the 2020 elections, was in KGG, where he equally promised the people of the area that particular stretch is going to be tarred. And like I was saying, 2020, before the elections, he was there again. He cut a sword for the construction of that road. At a point, the contractor was on site. He was able to do a percentage, I think about 1/3 of the road. The first phase was done, and the contractor, as I speak to you, had to pick almost every item of the approved construction and then move out of the area. The first phase, as we all don't know, the first phase I was telling you was done on 1/3 of the road. Is currently deteriorating because that was just the first bitumen that was laid, and now we have countless potholes on the road because the contract is supposed to be done in phases. After the first phase, the second phase should have been done because the contractor left it. Vehicles use the road, and then as I speak to you now, the potholes cannot be counted.
Of course, if you start the construction work and you don't complete it, and that has been our bane. So some roads have been under construction since the 90s because you start, you don't do what has to be done to sustain the road, you leave it, the rains come and everything, it deteriorates, then we award the contract again. I don't know whether it's intentional from the political class to do this so that they are constantly recycling these road projects. But I'm curious about something. The people in all these communities who heard these promises that were made to them, not once, not twice, how have they reacted to you? When you've spoken to them, what have they said about the state of their roads and how they feel about promises not being kept?
Yes, Ben, somewhere last year, I had the privilege to travel to Kwame Danso with the Bruno East Regional Minister. That was when the contractor was on the road. The people were excited. They were very happy. The Bruno East Enclave is tagged as the food basket of this country. We know how important agriculture is to the people of the area, and so the food items that is being, harvested have to get to the Techiman Central Market before it finds its way to other parts of the country. But we have food gluts most of the time because of the terrible nature of these roads. And the people, a year later when I visited the area, you could see their frustrations. They were very unhappy with how the road has been left unattended to. In fact, it is not the only area. We have other parts of the country, the Techiman Boyam Road, which was started during the Mahama administration. It is one of the cocoa roads that has been left uncompleted. There are other major roads, but the people here feel, when you speak with them, they will tell you, the contractor would return to site in 2024, because that is the time these politicians will come back to us to convince us again that they are ready to do the work. So most of the people you speak with, between 2021, 2022, 2023, when you engage them and you tell them, okay, this road has been awarded, there was an engineer on the road. There's this link between Nkranza and then Atibu also. We saw how the contractor started the work before the 2020 elections. The culverts were done, but the road was left, uncompleted. The people who you speak with will tell you, hopefully in 2024, you are going to see the contractor back to site. So it's becoming a norm. It's becoming a routine that each election year, road contractors are going to be busy. You'll be seen clearly on the roads, acting as though they are working, to solve these road problems, which continuously affect the people of the area. Because if you are into agriculture and you produce food crops like tomato, like watermelon, and they are unable to get to the market on time, what happens is that the farmers will be, affected heavily, because we know after some time, these food items are going to go waste. Mind you, we do not have enough industries in the area to, process these foods.
How about 1D, 1F? And I'd like you to wrap on that so I can go to Peter Senu as well. You say you don't have enough industry. I know Techiman has for a long time been a large crop producing area, and if we got things right, Techiman alone could produce so much for that, not just that belt of the country, but even up north as well. But that question I pose to you, what would be your reaction to it in terms of 1D, 1F? How many are on the ground? How many are working?
In fact, if you ask me, the major 1D, 1F projects in the Borno Strait now I'll struggle to mention some of them. We know there's one in Atibu, a starch factory in Atibu. We know there was another one in Prime. That is a lot within the Pro East area. But Nkranza is a major food production area. They are also into watermelon. At a point, they were calling for a watermelon factory, something to deal with, because you know how watermelon easily go waste.
Yeah.
And that is why sometimes, a very big watermelon that in ordinary times has been sold around 20, 30 cedis. When it gets to the seasons, with 2 Ghana cedis, 3 Ghana cedis, you could get some, because if the farmers do not sell them that cheap, after a few days to a week or so, they will all go away. So the people were yearning for that. We have not seen anything close to that within the Nkranza area. Go to Kintampo, where we all know there are, hectares of mango farms. They produce lots and lots of these mangoes annually. There's no, factory or industry to process them. And it's also one major headache for the people, the farmers within the Kintampo area. In Techiman, like you said, you might have heard of Ghana's Limited, you might have heard of Oba Park, which is also into onion processing. All these are private industries. But 1D, 1F, as government promised prior to the 2020 elections, you hardly see them in the region, and it is honestly affecting.
You say you hardly see them, and it's affecting the work of farmers, I guess. Those that have been placed there, or those that have been supported, because 1D, 1F is not necessarily starting the whole thing afresh. There are some that have received support. Are they operational? Are they producing? Are they, living up to expectations, so to speak?
Yes, I can mention of some few ones in Tichman. Ghana Nuts Limited. We all know they are into the production of the processing of soybeans and then groundnut and then turning it into oil. I mean, it's cooking oil. They are also having Oberpack, which is also processing onion into onion paste. They are all working as I speak to you now. They are in they are in use and they are producing as expected. Except that, like I said, if you really want to solve the problem farmers in this area are going through, then you have to look at what is being produced in this area in terms of quantities, then look at the areas that these food items are being produced, and then you strategically place these factories in those areas so that the people around who are producing these items in large quantities would know that after production, there is an end point where we will take them to, so that when it is in glass, we are not going to sell them cheap. Like I mentioned, the watermelon.
All right. So
cities will be sold at 5 cities during a glass. Same applies to tomato. You might have heard of Chobodom, how much they do produce tomato.
And I think the point on that is very well made. From tomatoes to watermelon and everything. I just have to respectfully intervene here because I also want to bring in Peter Senu. But note, gentlemen, especially for Rafiq and you, Anas Sabit, when I'm done with Peter Senu's initial remarks, I'm going to come to each of you, give you a bit of time, a few minutes. I want you to give me an assessment. What has government done well this year in the region? What has not gone well this year in the region? I want you to tell me or share with me the good, the bad, and the ugly. The positives, it cannot be that government has done nothing. So what have been the positives? What have been the negatives? Like the most crucial ones, the most important ones that have been neglected or not done, and the most important ones that have been done. And then that will be how we cap off the conversation. But for now, Peter Senu, your quick reflections. I know roads are also a problem in the OT region. I know that region pretty well. What other reflections would you have for us in this initial stage of the conversation, at least from your end? Peter Senu.
Yeah, Ben, let me fall on the landing space of Anas Sabit with the 1D, 1F initiative of government in the region. We have 3 facilities that are supposed to be under the 1D, 1F. In the Nkwanta South Municipality, we have the Enable Youth Program there, which is supposed to be doing gari processing in the area. But as you speak, that factory is not functioning. The last time I visited there, the machines were idle. But I later visited the office of the MC, Bright Longwa, where I saw some gari processed, allegedly from the factory. According to him, they came and tested the machines, fixed them to do that processing. But as we speak, that factory is not functioning due to power supply or challenges of power supply to that facility. We have one also at Adokwanta, which the president came to the region to inaugurate, I think more than a year ago. And so that one was also supposed to be processing yam, chickens, and then cassava for export. That one, I can say it's functioning, but from my look of things, it is under functioning because anytime I pass by, I hardly see any serious activities ongoing in that factory. The third one is supposed to be a ginger processing factory at KGB. That one has been non-existent. I have not seen that. Anytime I ask officials question about the existence of that factory in the district, I do not get the answers. And so and then I see it as part of achievements of government that the ginger processing factory in KGB, I want to ask for its location so that we can appropriately report on that. Talking about roads, let me just run this by you. The road that has been done perfectly, that government has touted so much, is the Jasikando-Dopepesu road. It's been completed, but that road has suffered 2 major defects. within a year or so after its inauguration. We reported on that. And so the quality of work has come into question from residents, whether or not the contractor did a good job, since these areas keep showing up. And so that is it for that. So that one has been done. Let me mention a few abandoned roads projects. Just as Anas Sabit mentioned, close to the election 2020, we saw contractors on Jasikan Rara Road, Jasikan Bodada Road, and then Jasikan Hawkway Road.
Right.
But as we speak, Jasikan Rara Road has been abandoned. And then that road leads to...
You're saying there was some work started on the Jasikan Rara Road, right?
Yes.
How long ago was this?
Pardon?
How long ago was this?
Oh, just after the elections, election 2000, work stalled and nothing has been done. The contractor is not on site.
You mean 2020? You mean 2020?
Yes, 2020.
Okay, all right.
The last time I spoke to the minister about this, I said there were some contractual issues and payment issues. And so the contractor had to pack and then leave site. And so, just as I was mentioned, that road leads to a major referral facility in the region, which is the Rara Government Hospital. And so, if you travel on that road now, before you get to the hospital, you might be battling with other ailments. And then we also have the Jasikan Bodada Road. Same thing. Just around election 2020, work was ongoing, but just after the election, nothing has been done.
So the picture, I want you to spend just about some 40 seconds telling me about health, and then we'll cap off the conversation with the positives and negatives. But so the picture this paints for me is that pre-election 2020, a lot of promises were made in terms of roads. And then right after the voting had happened, everything just went to ground and nothing took off. Some things followed briefly in 2020 and that was it. But health, what is healthcare like? The districts, the generality of the region, just give me some 30 seconds on that. What is the quality of healthcare in the region?
Well, the quality may not be different from what we are seeing in other parts, much as the authorities may be doing their best to improve the situation. And so we have the Agenda 111 construction ongoing to improve health delivery. I think some international organizations, Kofi and others I can remember, are also putting in their bid to put up CHIPS compounds and then upgrade some of the health centers. And so in KJB, we have the Agenda 111 ongoing. Jasikan, there is one. Pasar, there is one. Chinderi, which is in the Krachin Chumuru district, there is another one. And so health delivery, on the average, there's more to be done. More to be done about health delivery.
All right. Hold for me. So, gentlemen, I'm going to give you maximum a minute and a half. I want you to share with me what have been the most problematic issues and also the areas where government has done well. So, where has government seriously underperformed in your region? From all the reports you've given, where has government done a pretty good job or a very good job in your region? So the good, the bad, and the ugly, basically. I'll start with you once more, Rafiq Salam. Remember, you have a minute and a half, so we can wrap. Please go ahead.
If I'm going to talk about what government has really done well, it should be in the one municipality where they are constructing a multi-purpose youth resource center. And then second, also roads in the Nandom enclave has also been given a face lift. But talking about areas that they haven't performed in terms of health, in terms of agriculture, because the claim of the planting for food and jobs, it's not yielding good results as previously, where fertilizer was, in abundance for people to have access to. This year, not many people have been able to farm because of the cost of these fertilizer inputs, because they are no more subsidized. The other area has to deal with the issue of roads, because as Anas has said, if we are talking about promises from the road minister, I don't think anybody in the Upper West region really take him serious, because they think that when he comes to speak, they even look elsewhere. Even when he meets our chiefs, they know that he's not speaking the truth. And then the last issue has to deal with these issues of our health facilities. We should. We have not been able to get the needed aspect into some of these health facilities.
Right.
And I think that government can have a look at it. But lastly, I have to say that I'm really happy ending the 2023 this way, because we did a story about Memuna Bakuri, who one time left school and then was pounding fufu for 50 Ghana cedis to get back to school. And then today, as we speak, Mamuna graduated from 3 days ago.
Oh, wow.
And then had excellence in fashion designing. And so in the next few days, we will have the story of Memuna, who was pounding fufu to enable him get to back to school. Now, we did a story. The former, the then High Court Judge, Justice Josie Boache, and her sister, Beverly, and the daughter, who are based in the UK, who are based in the UK, and they came to support her. So, Memuna is now, a relief woman and can take care of herself.
We thank God for that. Let me cross over now to Anas Sabit for your concluding thoughts. The good, the bad, and the ugly in the Bunu region. We have just about a minute, so if you can squeeze it in, please do. Anas. Hello, Anas Sabit.
Yes, Ben.
Please unmute. Yes, go ahead.
I was speaking about the terrible nature of our roads in the region, but let's also not forget that government has done well in some areas. The Kintampo Zabrama Prime Road, the last time I visited, less than a week or two ago, I saw the contractor on the site working. So that is a major road. When completed, it is going to help the region in diverse ways. In Techiman Township, we saw how the Ghana Secondary City Support Program is, helping improve the road network within the Techiman municipality or the Techiman Township. And that is also commendable. We have to, talk positive about that. Now, a quick one on some of the good things government has done in the health sector. The Agenda 111, we have seen contractors on the sites. The Bono East region is expected to benefit from 4 districts: Techiman North, Mkranza North, through East. That is Sine East, Kajeji. We saw the contractors on the site, and we are hoping that when these projects are completed, it's going to help improve health entirely in this particular area. Road safety is also one area we are seeing government, like I said, the reduction, of accidents in the region. The Kintampo Highway is one road network that causes so much accidents. But as I speak, now this year we've seen a reduction in number.
Okay, so final point, Anas. Final point.
Where government, I would say, needs to improve has to do with education, and then on helping improve our economic activities of the region. The Techiman Central Market is known as the major market in this area, but there's no attempt to help improve its status and then help improve the economic status of the municipality and the region at large. So let me end here.
All right, Anas, thank you very much. Peter Senu, you have the final word in less than a minute, if you can manage it.
Yes, so if we talk about the infrastructure development, the OT region has seen a number of infrastructure development in recent times when the region was created, compared to what was happening when the region was part of the Volta region. And so a lot is happening. Government is doing well with its Agenda 111 project, I can say, because if it's completed, a number of employment opportunities in the mainstream and then in the informal side will be realized. And so government relatively is doing well with infrastructure. We see the putting up of departments and agencies across the region. And so that will open up the region for development. Areas for improvement, for me, government must do well to fix its road, because most of the food that come to Accra for the officials to buy and consume come from these rural communities. If you go to Kratin Tumuru district, there is no single bitumen surface road in that community, in that district. And that district is the second region with multi-dimensional poverty. So if government wants to uplift the source of the people in terms of economic empowerment, then they must do something about their roads. Access to water. Final
point.
Yes,
let's go.
We have to go. Northern part, there's access to potable water is a challenge. And so government should look at roads, water, and education delivery as we still have children sit on stones in classroom to learn.
All right. Thank you. Thank you all so much, gentlemen. My apologies for having to rush you at the end. Peter Seno is our OT regional correspondent. Rafiq Salam, all the way from the Upper West. He's been bringing us the scoop. And Nana Sabit, our Bono East regional correspondent. This segment always brought to you by Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. They're offering you prostate screening for free if you're a man, fertility screening for free if you're a woman. Just reach out to them at any of their branches. Accra, Spintex opposite the Shell signboard, Kumasi Kronoma Bweha behind the Angel Educational Complex, Takrady Anaji State, Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanswa, and Esiaman Zama. Their call lines 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. Bringing us to the end of this extraordinary news review. Up next, sports.
From the break, this is the AM Sports with me, Harun Ombara. We are going to delve into the happenings in sports in this year 2023. And let's start with athletics. This year, there's been a change of leadership. Bawa Fuseni is now the president of the Ghana Athletics for the next 4 years. And of course, we'll also review the performance of the team at the World Athletics Championship in Budapest. Now, Joy Sports editor Fentio Tairo Fentio is on Zoom now. Fent, good morning.
Very good morning, Mubarak. How are you?
I'm doing very well. How are you too? And how is Italy?
It's fine. All good here. Maybe slightly cold, but it's fine.
Yeah, Ghana is still hot. Anyway, let's delve into the matters. Ghana Athletics this year, nothing much really happened. But let's start with the elections that happened. Bawa Fuseni, the president of the Ghana Athletics for the next 4 years. What does it mean for the association?
I think in terms of familiarity, not much, because obviously Bao has been part of this particular administration for the better part of the last 10 years, mostly as General Secretary. He served under Prof. Dodu's 2 terms, and even when Afelik became the interim president, took over from Prof. Dodu, Bawa Fuseni was still General Secretary. So he's a very experienced administrator as far as athletics is concerned. He himself is a former athlete of Ghana. So he's been in and around there for a very, very long time. So he knows exactly the inner workings of this particular administration, this particular association. He's very well connected. He does work for CAA Region 2 as well. I think he's General Secretary of that as well. So he's one of those people that knows exactly how this association runs. I think if there is anything else that anybody has to be concerned about, is about how he can carve a path for himself, because there's also the impression that because he's been part of the previous administration for very long, this very challenged association might not be moving in a different direction anytime soon. Because in the past, this association had gone through a lot of challenges. And you remember, there were even court issues regarding the last election before this particular one.
Yeah.
They went to Tamale to hold the elections. It was quite controversial at the time. And there were people who... particularly Mr. Luchot, who were trying to wrestle the association from the arms of Bawa Fuseni's former boss, Prof. Dodu, and he himself. So the fact that they have managed to still keep this administration in their own hands, in their camp, is commendable, but it's also a big challenge now to see where Bawa Fuseni takes this administration. The biggest challenges of this administration right now are finances, because it's probably one of the poorest associations. They're struggling to get athletes competing after school. Most of the Ghanaian athletes are students, and once they finish school, there's not enough money to continue to sponsor them to compete. And Every year, we seem to be getting new athletes going into school, and the moment they're done with school, their professional careers basically take a nosedive. So that is a massive problem that they need to fix. And for that to happen, they need to start raising sponsorship, raising finances, and raising money. That's the only way that problem can be fixed. At the moment, the association doesn't even have sponsors, so they need to fix that problem. There is no doubt that athletics in this country has often proven to be one of those sporting disciplines that's always winning the country medals at international competitions. If you look at all the Africa Games that we've held, let's say in the last 4 editions of the Africa Games, athletics have won the country the most medals in each of them, and yet they've had the least form of investment. And that's why, even though they might be dominant on the African scene at the Africa Games, when they go on the global stage, they fall short because they simply don't have the resources to keep their athletes in the shape that is required to win international medals. And that's why in the history of this country, as many medals as we've won at the African Games or even the African Championship, we have never won a medal at the Olympic Games when it comes to track and field. And that is a very disappointing statistic in the history of track and field. At the Olympic Games, we have never won a medal. It's rather disappointing. In fact, even at the World Championships, the last time we won a medal, you have to go back to Helsinki in 2005 when we won 2 medals in that competition.
Exactly, friend. So this brings me to the...
so it's been a long time coming.
Yeah, this brings me to the World Athletics Championship. You were there, you covered the championship. What really happened to Team Ghana? Because we've got athletes that we've raved about ahead of the tournament or the championship, but they fall short or they fell short.
Again, yes, and we'll go through them one by one. James Darcy in particular, his was a very disappointing episode. He came into the competition running 19.79 seconds, broke the national record in the 200 meters. Joe Paul had the previous record, 20.08. And he was expected to do really well. Unfortunately, I think 4 or so weeks before the competition, he got injured. And all the build up to the competition, he had been struggling to really get himself back in shape. And in the absence of sponsorship and proper medical care, it was always a race against time to get him fully fit. And so when he came into the competition, he still had a massive plaster strapped on his hamstring. And I watched him during the training, and I had conversations, and I knew that it wasn't going to end well for him because he didn't look fully fit. And truly, in the 200-meter heats, just before the bend, he pulled out injured, and he never finished that race. And that was it. That was the end of his competition. Then in comes Joe Paul, who had not been running well throughout the entire year, last year. Also, the same problem that I mentioned earlier. Once he was done with school, finding resources to compete was a problem. And so he wasn't exactly in top shape. His fastest time that year was probably 20.35 seconds over 200 meters. For somebody who was running 20.08, that was a rather disappointing time in the lead up to the competition. And then the competition itself starts. He finishes 5th. He was running well in the heats, and then I think about 30 meters or 40 meters or so to the end, he also pulled out injured with a toe injury. Eventually ended up in hospital, and then because those two were injured and never finished their races, they were also key members of Ghana's 4x100 meter relay team that we had all predicted to do well, because consistently since the Africa Games in Rabat, they have been running well. They've set 3 different national records. Fast times in the process. In each competition, they had improved on the time, and they had the national record over the 4x100 meter relay going into that competition. It was a fairly new team. Maybe Joe Paul alone was the only consistent member of that team. The rest of them, James Darcy, all of them were new. Yeah. But unfortunately, because of the injury to both Joe Paul and James Darcy, we didn't have enough men available to compete in the 4x100 meter relay.
Fine. So
we had to pull out of that race as well. And basically, that was the end of Ghana's participation at that games. Deborah Aqua, the only female that was present at that competition as well. Same problem, injury, and she never recovered from it. And that was it was a really, really disappointing showing at the games. But for anyone that critically followed athletics, you can't say that you didn't see that coming.
Quite unfortunate. Friends, briefly, what would be your expectations for athletics next year?
I think the expectations are huge. I think personally, we also missed Benjamin Asamati a lot last year, also because of the same injury situation. He didn't even go to the World Championship. He wasn't running well, in fact, even before the World Championships. And then injury compounded the situation, then paperwork issues as well. And these athletes are really going through a lot, personally, even in terms of paperwork, legalization of state visa issues, so many problems that they go through. So I expect that he will be back next year. And next year is starting with a bang. And it starts with the Africa Games in March. That would just be at the end of the indoor season. So hopefully we are able to get them to abandon some parts of their indoor campaigns to come and run an outdoor season here in Accra for the Africa Games that starts really, really early in March. I think March 8th. That is still the peak of the indoor season. So it will be quite a challenge trying to get our top athletes to come and compete at a time when most of their colleagues are still running indoors. But if we could get them to come in and compete, I expect that athletics will give Ghana the most medals at the Africa Games. And then you have the Olympics coming up as well. Hopefully, if we can get the relay team to qualify for the Olympics, that would be another really, really big deal. So it's a big year coming, 2024, for track and field. Whether we are able to position ourselves to be competitive is another problem. And for me, I think fundamentally, we need to invest some resources into preparing our athletes for both the Africa Games and then the Olympic Games. If we can do that, I think we can expect big results.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Tahiru. Thank you very much. Thank you. I was brought insight with regards to athletics in 2023. We are done with that. Quite unfortunate. Isaac Dogbe losing the WBO featherweight belt to Robaisi Ramirez. Now, Jojo, good morning. Jojo, can you hear me? Can you unmute?
Unmute, yeah, I have. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. How are you, Jojo?
I'm doing better. How are you too?
I'm also fine. Quite unfortunate here for Ghana in terms of boxing. Isaac Dogbe lost, Richard Kwame lost, as well as Senna Adbeko. What is happening? Is boxing regressing?
Well, not necessarily. It's a different phase altogether. You look at it, I think we've not prepared the fundamentals very well, to sustain the kind of momentum that we had with regards to Ghana's output on the international circuit with regard to professional boxing. So that have been the reasons. And you see, all those who were losing out, might have not been the kind of boxers who have been active, in their respective weights. They fight, one time, stay out for long before coming back, and that has not helped their cause.
Okay. Quickly, let's talk about the Black Bombers. They were at the African qualifying tournament for the 2024 Olympic Games, and all 12 boxers who participated did not make it at the global tournament. What should we expect ahead of next year?
Well, it's rather the continental qualifiers, Dakar, Senegal.
Yeah.
Yes, it was unfortunate that the Black Bombers, who are the nation's most successful national team with regards to participation at the Olympic Games and the Commonwealth Games, went there and they could not qualify a boxer. But it wasn't all that disgraced, because we have 5 boxers qualifying to the quarterfinals. That is Theophilus Pakualote, who was at the, who eventually got bronze. And we had Joseph Kome at the quarterfinals. We had Jonathan Tete also at the quarterfinals. We had Dr. Onela Satul also at the quarterfinals. But unfortunately, none of them could qualify because of the qualifying format that was in place this particular edition of the Olympics qualifiers at the continental level. You asked of what lies ahead for us subsequently. Yes, we still have 2 windows of opportunity, to qualify for the Olympics. In February to March, February 28 to March 12 to be specific. The team should be in Italian city of Busto Arsizio, for the World Qualifying Tournament. Those who fell out from the various continental stages all over the continent in the world will be gathering there to sludge it out and then pick 50 additional numbers to join those who are already qualified. So we will be there, and then Ghana, we're likely going to represent the best of our bosses, at this competition. We also have an opportunity in Bangkok, Thailand, in May, which is also another opportunity. So that is how it is. In the last competition, things didn't go well the way we expected. Because to look at it, it's rather unfortunate that, as a country, we expect so much from these boxes. But unfortunately, give little in terms of preparation. Preparation is very key in the scheme of success in the modern sports. If you don't prepare well, you'll be found wanting. I mean, that's what happened to us. Look at the countries that dominated the medal table. Talking about Algeria, who had about 5. Talking about Morocco, who had about 4. Nigeria, who had 3. Egypt, Tunisia, and those things. And even the Southern African countries, emerging countries, of course, like Seychelles, they are all doing something very good. Technical organization, giving proper exposure to their boxers, going to various major pre-competition tournaments to prepare them very well. And I think we lack all those things, and that have cost us. But we've taken some good leap from, the negative experience that we had in Dakar. As we go to Italy, the boxers have been undergoing and not yet training for the past 3 months. The ministry has agreed that they should embark on a register campaign. So at the end of, this year, which probably starts next week, the team is going to start a register campaign, perhaps in Cape Coast, for at least 6 weeks before we depart to Italy for the World Qualifying Tournament.
How confident are you that what happened in Senegal will not repeat itself?
Well, as I said, we've learned a lot of positive lessons from there, so we are not taking chances. The team have been reinforced. Samotechi has come back. Samotechi, who won Africa's only boxing medal at the last Olympics Games, is back in the team. He's going to move up and fight at the light welterweight division. 63.5 kilograms. He has joined the team. Tivlo Pakwalote, whose maiden tournament in Dakar, Senegal, has also garnered a lot of experience. We are also bringing on board chaps like Amadou Mohamed, who also was at the World Championship, went to the quarterfinals as the only 2 Africans to have been there. Just, got short of going to the Dakar tournament because of e-health. So you look at it, we are well prepared. And we are not going to the mass number as we did, especially the ladies. Because look at them, lady boxing or female boxing in Ghana is a novelty. So they don't have that much exposure. And then they use the Dakar Senegal tournament or competition as an exposure and preparatory ground. So for this reason, we are only going to look at the potentials that we have. And I can assure you that we are well prepared, well organized, regardless of the limitations we have with finances and everything. We are well prepared. We've taken a lot of lessons from what happened in Dakar, Senegal, that preparation for that matter, major preparation is very, very, very key in that regard.
Okay, Jojo, what will you tell Ghanaians for 2024 in terms of boxing?
Well, all I can say is that we are still seeking corporate partnership. The government, as much as what the current Minister of Youth and Sports, Honorable Mustafa Yusuf, is doing his best, but it's certainly not enough. The government cannot do it alone. The federation have managed to cater for their non-residential, campaign all this while. We expect the corporate world to come and partner us. The records are there. Boxing is the only, discipline that has won Ghana each chunk of medals at the Olympic Games. 4 out of 5. 1960, 1972, 1964, and then recently 2021 through Samuel Techi. At the Commonwealth Games, we have won 35 out of 36 medals that the country boasts of. So all that we need is support. We've done a lot of activities the year under review, 2023. We've trained about 15 coaches in Star 1. We have some German cooperation who have come in to train some of the coaches. The African Games is upcoming. We have 13 weights, to compete for. And I can assure all that, all things being equal, after we return from the games in the qualifiers in Italy, we are coming in straight for the African Games. And that's why I can assure them that boxing is going to give Ghana about 10 medals. 10 medals. Samotechi has assured us of gold. Papualote has assured us of gold. Amadou has assured us of gold. Joseph Komi has assured us of gold. We are really poised to make amends this particular season and we retain and remain as the country's leading medal prospect with regard to medal haul at major international competitions.
Okay, Jojo, thank you very much for your time. Jojo is the communications officer of the Ghana Boxing Federation, sharing insight with regards to boxing. Now, let's switch our attention to football. So many pertinent happenings in football in 2023. Talk about the appointment of Chris Hughton as the head coach of the Black Stars. Let's actually listen to what he said. Then afterwards, we'll do some analysis. Yes, Chris Hughton.
Black Stars to do well and achieve what we want to achieve. This is mostly about the players and the players performing, but it's about the technical staff, it's about the supporters around, but it's also very much about the support from the association. And it's very difficult to go in the direction you want to if you don't have all of them things aligned. And I can only speak of my experiences so far. And I said the communication that I've had with the association has been very good. As regards what type of team we will see, what we want to see a winning team, because there can be and there will be lots of questions on a style of football, players that play, why is this player not playing and why is this player playing? Are you too defensive? Are you too offensive? Ultimately, what we all want to see is winning football. And that starts with the correct preparation of the team, using the players to the best of their ability, and picking a team that suits the type of players that we have. So I think we all, as coaches, start on the same level, same starting point. And the starting point is to put together a group of players to play as a team and to win football matches.
Chris Hughton, but after 9 matches, the Black Stars have won 4 games, lost 3, and then drawn 2. They've scored 8 goals and conceded 10. But you compare Chris Hughton to the Black Queens head coach, Nora Hapto, and after 11 games, the Black Queens won 10. They've scored 34 goals and they conceded just 2, Nora Hapto. I think we can relive one of the highlights of the Black Queens against Rwanda. For next year's AFCON qualifiers, and the Black Queens won emphatically, I think by 6 or 7 goals to 0. Tells you how prolific they are in front of goal and how they don't even concede at the back, because after 11 matches, playing 11 matches and conceding just 2 tells you how solid the Black Queens are. I don't know if we have Osman on Zoom. Do you have Osman? Quite unfortunate. So yeah, highs, you talk about the Black Queens, and then lows, you can talk about the Black Stars. There were so many happenings as well. Yes, but there was this big thing that happened in 2023. Keto Kreku, he went unopposed, had 117 votes out of the 120 delegates present. But before that, on the eve of the election, this happened.
Supporter, good morning and welcome to Joy News.
This is local.
Kechi. Mebacho, Yane Pike Akasa. Ade na moha.
The tell what say. Adwuma e ma Ghana nyina ni gie no. Yan hwe yi a de ekono e betima e basa. Egusu a enema bebre be sei. Enipa nya wuwi a yan na ontimi nyane. Ye basa oman no sori no hwe sei. Emra na efe no ahihye no so me de adwuma na nipa no e fantiase no. A ma etwema me ntwe ahwe bokafo asemaba no. Oman nyina san hwe sei. Se ne fanfa so be yie masumduaba. Nti we awareness ye ma oman na ya aware say asemu e besi na ye kan ho asemu a ye betuma sobo ye kan ho asemu ye na siwi a ye ka say me hunu yanka wo yi a wo hu kra enu ti na ye awareness we say the whole nation omon sorry no mo hwe say ye betuma kan asemu ma
One man supporter is basically saying that if they don't let people know about what they perceive to be problems, tomorrow they will be accused of not highlighting the issues, and that's why they are here.
Well, a demonstration against Keto Kreku and then the Ghana Football Association and its administration. That happened on the eve of the election. But Kate went unopposed anyway. Like I said, 117 votes out of the 120 delegates that were present at the elective congress in Tamale. So he won overwhelmingly. Others could make a point that George Friye did not contest, or he was precluded from contesting as a result of the breaches as far as the regulations or the statutes of the FA is concerned. He went to CAS, nothing really happened, and then Kurt will lead the Ghana Football Association for the next 4 years. Obviously, next year is big in terms of Ghana football. We have the Women's Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers. We've also got the AFCON, which will start in January 13. That's quite big for Keto Kreku, and then the FA, because the last AFCON, Ghana exited from the group stage, picking just a point. Yeah, do we have Osman on the line? Okay, Osman, good morning. Coach Osman, can you unmute?
Good morning to you, Haruna. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. How are you too?
Yes, I have.
In terms of football...
Good morning to you, Haruna. How are you doing?
I'm fine. In terms of sports, in terms of football, actually, what do you make of the year?
You look beautiful.
Thank you very much, Coach. What do you make of the year as far as football is concerned? We are struggling to get Coach Osman.
Well, it's been a hectic year.
Proceed, Coach.
It's been a hectic year, a year that has not really seen Ghana I know I can hear you. I can hear you, Haruna. Can I go on? Yes, I'm saying that it's a year that is full of uncertainty for Ghana. It's not been it's not been a year that we've chalked a lot of success, but it's been a year for learning. I want to put it in that point. We've learned a lot, right from our U23 to U20, and even to as we've been able to discover new, hope, like Kudus and so many other areas that ordinarily have the opportunity of seeing them. It's not been very good in terms of success, but I think
Okay, Coach, quickly, if you can hear me, I just want you to touch briefly on your expectations for next year as far as Ghana football is concerned. The Black Stars will be in action, the Black Queens will be in action as well. That's quite unfortunate. We are struggling to get Coach Said Osman. Struggling to get Coach Said Osman because of the network. But basically, that's your sports on the AM show for the year 2023. Today's Friday is the last working day of the week. And thanks for watching. My name is Haruna Mubarak, and see you next year.
Welcome back on the AM show. I'm excited and justifiably so. The gentleman who's going to kickstart the big stories with us, I've followed him for a long time. He cracks me up sometimes, and other times he's talking about the very serious issues. And at other times, I'm just scratching my head like, Charlie, what's up? Right before we came on air, and of course, this has to do with our end of year conversations and everything in between. Right before we came on air, I said to him, Wanlov, yes, you're a musician, but what else do I add? And he says, oh, I'm a musician and a class clown. That's what he said. Ladies and gentlemen, Wanlov the Kubolor. Ade. Okay, so let's start with your outfit this morning. Your outfit.
Yeah.
Some embroidered cap with cowries.
Yeah.
Your, is it stunners, not aviation glasses?
I think it's more aviators.
Aviators,
Kind of, yeah. It's
okay.
The roadside one.
Roadside one,
Yeah.
Okay. My own to be roadside.
Okay.
And then you have, is this biker's gear? Or something?
Yeah, this protective wear.
Okay.
I've been riding since last December.
Okay.
And
did you ride a bike here?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
A motorbike, yeah. And usually, I know Joy FM, like the studios are quite cold, so I just decided to keep it on, just in case. DJ Black used to freeze me in his studio,
so this time you came prepared.
Yeah, and protected.
I see. Wait, so you rode here on your bike barefoot?
Yes.
Okay. Tell us a bit about that. Are you able to get your grip on the
Yeah. I mean, it's not safe, that's for sure. But
because I was wondering.
Yeah, it's not safe, but it's the freedom for me, you know.
Okay.
And it's also the viscerality, like when my feet are touching, like my feet touch the ground, the gears, everything around me, the potholes when it's raining, like it's very visceral. I feel like more alive, you know.
Do you feel a connection to the earth because you walk barefoot? And sometimes, of course, you would probably walk places that have stones, sharp objects. How do you manage that?
In the beginning, the first few months, it was a bit painful. I was living in Ashorman, A-line, and there was a lot of like gravels and sharp stones and stuff around. But after a while, you get used to it. Your threshold increases. And then for me now, the reason I can't see myself wearing shoes is that everywhere I go, I have physical memories of the places I go to. So if I think of Copenhagen in the winter, I remember how like the salt they used to melt the snow on the sidewalks feels under my feet. So I have this like very vivid physical memory, as well as whatever I see or smell when I'm there. You know, so it's an extra sensory. And for me, I don't see myself giving that up because it gives me energy.
So even in the snow, you walk barefoot?
I don't walk in the snow more than, let's say, half an hour. Well, if it's like minus 15 degrees, like 10, 15 minutes is my limit. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Would you say it has been, and I know we're talking about end-of-year conversations and everything, but you cannot have Wanlov the Kubolor in the studio and not talk about some of the things that make him stand out as Wanlov the Kubolor. Is there any? Do you feel it's therapeutic in any way, walking barefoot?
Oh, it's super therapeutic, and I started doing it just because I remembered the feeling it gave me when I was a kid. So it was later that I didn't do any research on it. So it was later that I started finding out about something called grounding and another thing called earthing, where people go barefoot to tap into the energy that the planet contains, because we are biokinetic beings like this. We are basically made up of electricity. And every time, like when you have a building.
We're made up of electricity?
Yes, our body is biokinetic. Like that's how.
Okay, energy.
Yeah, energy.
All right.
And so when, I don't know if it happens to you sometimes, but you can touch your car or some metallic object and you feel a shock.
Yeah.
Because sometimes electricity runs through you. But when we wear shoes, we prevent that flow and that refreshing of our electrons in our body. So it's been proven to reduce inflammation greatly, improve sleep and health, general health, and so on. So I've also seen that, or I've experienced those benefits. So yeah, I don't see myself wearing shoes unless I really, really have to.
Well, I do know that, you would also see people, even scientifically, who would use slide-ons with projections to massage their feet. Others would they have these mats they sit on and all of that.
Yeah.
I'd also like to find out, I see you brought you took me back, because we used to use these things.
Yeah, I still do.
There's a name, is it castanets or something?
Yes, it's one of the names, but some of the more local names is Televi in Aigbe, and I think in Ghana tree is Kushka.
Okay.
I think it's Ghana in Asalatwa, but in Kushka, is a kind of popular name that we know for it. And I think the Kushka comes from the Kushka. So yeah, it's one of my favorite instruments. I play it in a lot of productions and performances.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so Wanlov the Kubolor. Young man in Ghana. You've built quite a repertoire. Later, should I forget, I do want to talk a bit about Mensa and that song of his. Them get eyes, but them know they see.
One of my favorite songs.
Oh, we play it all the time.
Wow.
It's one of my favorites too.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites.
Them get hearts, but them know they feel. Some too them get
mind,
but them know they think.
That be why we all day inside this boat
where we they sink. Oh. We'll talk about that
really nice
later on the show.
Cool.
But let's talk about, young people in Ghana 2023. Do you vote?
No, I don't.
You don't vote?
I don't vote.
Why?
I've always felt, when I was a kid, around, I think I was like 10, 11, or maybe younger, we would go to Pram Pram. And my father would be driving. And at some point, when we were on the rough road where there's no cars and stuff, he asked me if I want to drive. And
Hey,
I'd say,
at 10?
Yeah. And I'll say, yeah, and he would just put me on his lap, right? And I'll hold the steer. And then he'll start moving the car. So if I'm trying to go to the left small, he'll branch it small. He'll say, no, he'll be holding the steer like under. And then at some point in time, I just got the idea that, I want to hit this tree with the car. There's like a tree coming, so I want to just branch and hit the tree. That was my feeling, right? And that was I felt like that was my vote. I wanted to vote for that tree. And he just held the steer very tight, and straight in the car. And apart from the steering wheel, he's the one controlling the gears, the brakes, everything else. So that's how I've seen voting. For me, I've seen it it's a fun participation thing, but things are kind of chosen ahead of time. That's how I feel.
It's a fun participation thing. You're just adding to the numbers. It's just a game. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's how I feel. Yeah.
But you feel whoever will be has already been chosen?
Yes.
So you don't believe in our electoral process, our democratic process?
No, I see it taking place, and the people who are winning, maybe most of the time, are winning legally and so on and so forth. But I'm saying that the candidates and the people that we usually have as the options are the same kind of people who are like basically just going to exchange contracts of the same things going on, you know? I don't feel like there's actually a strong option to vote for, you know,
So, I mean, since the Fourth Republic, I suspect somewhere in the Fourth Republic, you came of age, you turned 18, you could have voted. I started voting in the Fourth Republic, and you've never felt that from Rawlings to Kufuor to Atta Mills to Mahama to Akufo-Addo, you've never felt that we've had any leader worth voting for?
No, because like, if that was the case, the Tema motorway would not be how it is right now. Like somebody would have come that would have done something about the motorway. But
this administration says it's going to fix it next year, like do the whole thing. My only problem is that, you know, it's concrete and they've been patching it with asphalt. I think now, per what I hear, they're going to use asphalt for it. I don't know what quality.
Yeah,
would that make you happy?
No, you see, the thing about asphalt, concrete is the best way, or that mix of more concrete, because the thing about asphalt is a continuous piece of, you know, like mass, and it reacts to temperature, right?
It does.
So if there are no cracks, if they are not like sectioned in slabs with some space in between for breathing, when it gets hotter, these materials will expand. When it gets colder, these materials will contract. But this is just one mass. So if the whole day the sun is shining on this road, and then all of a sudden it starts raining, there's a rapid contraction,
right.
and then the temperature varies in different parts of the road. Yeah. So that's why the roads always deform.
It becomes undulating.
A few months. So this asphalt like this just shows me that they are not thinking about the road in the real sense. They're just thinking about contracts. Because if they want a road that will last and serve Ghanaians, they will be thinking about concrete. You know what I mean? So plastic. There's a lot of cities now in the world building highways with plastic, you know. So.
Yeah, I've seen a few documentaries on that, converting the plastic into certain particles. And they are using them for road construction, among others. It's not the entire component, but they are adding it in there. And it's also a way of recycling plastic. But let me find out from you, as a young person, and I say young, I know if you're looking at data, it depends on who is calling the person young. The UN has its own categorization of what youth is and all of that. But I look at people like you and I say, you're young people. When you look at the rate of unemployment in Ghana, the young lifeblood of our country, projections are that by 2050 moving onwards, the population of Africans that would be in the youth bracket, I mean, over 60% in some places. Already in Ghana, we have a very youthful population. Interestingly, countries like Japan have a very aged population and they are struggling to catch up, the South Koreas and the rest. We have the lifeblood, the young people, and unemployment is huge. A few years ago, before this administration took over, it stood at 5.something%. Currently it's over, or is it 8.something%? Currently it's over 13%. I always dispute these figures in a way because I feel it is much more than that when I go out. But how do you feel as a young person when you go round and look at how young people are getting by? What do you see? How does it make you feel?
You don't know what to do, really. You know, you have people that, you know, come up to you and say they just want to work. They just want a job, you know, and it's sad. It's very sad because the people who get jobs are also not being paid like livably. You know, they're not getting a wage that they can comfortably pay their 2 years advance rent and save something small in case of emergencies. And like the people that are even in the workforce are scraping by. And so when I see like the youth that are actually just looking for jobs to do that don't exist for them, it scares me, you know? It scares me in a way and makes me super sad. And you're often facing the choice of blocking it out of your mind and becoming less of a human being, because I feel like the more you block people's problems or your community's problems, you start changing into something else. So, I mean, we are all the time, we're just trying to come up with new ways, you know, to make like at least the creative scene, the creative industry, you know, employable to the youth. So we're trying to do our part, at least in the creative side, with people we meet, try and give them jobs to do, find ways for them to make money. Yeah, or like help them exploit their talents, in ways that bring them something,
But do you feel from the standpoint of government, every state is run by some sort of administrative body, in this sense, the government. Do you feel enough has been done? When you go around and you look at the number of young people, sometimes those on the streets wanting to wash your windscreens and others, obviously if they had something better to do, they would do them. How do you feel when you see them?
Yeah, it's a sign, it's a symptom of someone somewhere not doing their job, because we have so many things we can fix just like systematically, or like in the environment. Let's just take like the pollution around, the lack of bins, public, like the parks. We don't have public parks with trees and so on. All these places could employ youths, to do these kind of things, to be clearing, because I feel like what happens with these contracted rubbish collectors, where they only pick where there are bins and so on. Yeah. It leaves a lot of places, public spaces, where there's trash there all through the time, And I feel like just in that sector alone, the recycling, the trash sector, it could employ way more youth. But of course, it's not that enticing also because of the way that these people are being paid through these agencies and the amounts they make from what is actually being paid on their behalf. So it's just, I feel like it's stinginess and greed, which is not making like the money trickle down to the rest of the population, Because I feel like if people have certain capital or access to capital, they themselves are creative enough to start creating their own jobs and becoming resourceful. But people don't even have, access to that kind of capital. Either to pay rent, to have a place to stay for the next year or so, or to invest in a business they want to start. There's nothing trickling down for people to be able to save. That's why people are doing more gambling. That's why people, are doing more praying, because the hope is way less. So,
speaking of which, you talk about stinginess and greed. Mm-hmm. Do you follow the stories about corruption in Ghana? How do you feel about them?
Most of the times, especially on Twitter or now X, I follow a couple of accounts which are often like pointing out the things going on, And I don't know. I really don't, we know what is, we all as Ghanaians know what is going on. I'm wondering what will be the final thing that really, really makes the whole of Ghana stand up, and just put our foot down, our collective foot, It's still small pockets of people who have access to certain information at certain times that are trying to, point people in the direction of the corruption. But I don't know the scandal or what has to happen beyond, people having money in their rooms, or beyond what's happening to the hospitals. What has to happen beyond that? But then
you feel everything is happening, all these things, people are protesting, yet nothing is really changing. Right? Does that frustrate you?
Yeah, definitely. But mine is more on, I know there's going to be a critical mass at a point. It happens most of the times in society where the general population gets fed up at once, And so I'm just wondering what that will be, because now it's like there's so many unimaginable stories coming out about corruption, and none of those stories has really gotten us to that point, where we are not even afraid of the police. It's like we're angry, but we're still afraid of the police. Angry. That's the level of our anger.
But the police are the law enforcers. They must.
Yeah, I know. But when people get tired of the oppression, where they're like the economic oppression they are going through, at some point in time, they will be so tired of that they'll have no fear for the police. And that's what I'm wondering, what scandal will take us to that point, because even when you go on the international, if you look at the international happenings right now, like what is happening in Gaza, for example, is like how many children have to be killed before the EU and America finally say, no, what is happening is a genocide, you know? So it's like, in Ghana, like, what are we waiting for? What are we waiting for? Like, what do we want to hear that has happened? How much money do we want to hear has been chopped before we actually finally all get angry and actually, like, scare people either to change or to, you know, step down for capable people to run our lives, which, you know.
Well, you know, our politics has become money now, and no one is going to step down because of what likely benefits they have. You talk about corruption, and it's a $3 billion to $6 billion industry in Ghana, corruption, because that's how much the country loses every year. And the people in control of that cockpit will not be willing to get out. But I have this question. Colonialism, right? When we were colonized in Africa, whether by the British, the Germans, the French, the Portuguese, the Danes, or whatever, people said this was really bad. But some have also posited that you look at what our own leaders are doing today, and it's worse than then. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely, it is worse. I'm sure you've come across Frantz Fanon talking about the way, like, some of us Africans are, like, basically colonial ghosts controlling our bodies, because a lot of us think like we are from the West. And so we are using Ghana as a site for raw materials. We're planning our lives for our families outside, but Ghana, the area designated as Ghana, is just an extraction site. So we are just, and so just based on that, for me, it makes me feel like we have a lot we have to go through, really. I don't know, I really don't, because in the simple fact of things is that a lot of the big corporations that are in Ghana, the ones mining gold, oil, all these things, they kind of choose who the president, or allow our presidents to be. That's how I feel. Because it's like, right now, let's say mining tax is 5%. If the current president says, okay, these gold companies, I'm now going to change the mining tax to 50% because I want to fix all the hospitals. I want to clean the rivers. I want to stop galamsey. I want to do all these positive things. And we need big money. So we need, like, so much money to do it, right? The thing is that these companies are going to call maybe Joe Biden and say, hey, we gave you this money for your campaign when you were president. Now this person in Ghana is trying to eat into our profits.
Right.
So you have to place a call and talk to him. You know, so I feel like because some politicians find themselves in those positions, nobody really wants to stick their neck out for Ghana. So everybody just gets in there and is just grabbing and running away with what they can carry, you know, and leaving us to face it.
We'll be concluding in a bit. I just wanted to definitely ask you about the creative arts industry and the sort of support you feel, you know, you as creators have got and what you have not got. And maybe you can also feed into Ifua Santua and her sing-a-thon. What do you make of it? Creative arts and then Ifua.
Well, I'm here with lacking up just about 7 hours of sleep, and it's not, and I'm a bit drowsy, right? From that. So.
Oh, you were there?
No, I haven't been.
Because I went through yesterday.
Yeah, it's a big
place, was packed.
Yeah. I drove by or rode by. But I'm just saying, like, for someone to attempt to not sleep for 3, 4, 5 days, it's very commendable, as, you know, a feat. The fact that just a few days or a week ago, there was this discussion by Reggie Rockstone and Blacko about the percentage of Ghanaian music that needs to be played. And so then this manifestation of Ifua is someone who has learnt Ghanaian repertoire, almost 1,000 songs or more.
Yeah.
And so what she has done is revamped these songs by Prayer and all these different artists, and has really given us
all of those.
Yeah, and she's brought 100%, Ghanaian content just with her worldwide viewed, attempt at the Guinness World Record. So that's how I'm seeing that.
You feel it's brought some good, it's put the spotlight on Ghana in a good way.
Yeah, it's made Ghanaians remember certain artists, music, it's made Ghanaians see that if just the average Ghanaian attempt to do something, they will get support, if people hear about it. Because people are just like, So I feel like it's something hopeful, yeah.
That's good to hear. I mean, I am proud, and that's why I went through. When Hilda Bassi was doing her thing, Nigerians latched onto it, and the support has actually been good from the outset. It wasn't exactly the best, but people have thronged to that place, and I feel it's a good thing.
Yeah, I wasn't aware that there was something else going on around there, but when I was driving by, I saw there was like a bazaar. So I thought that was a very nice.
Yeah, people have set up camp. They're selling stuff.
Yeah.
People are coming through. I mean, I went there yesterday. I met a number of people. And I was actually very pleasantly.
Yeah, it gave me
surprised.
the trade fair energy. Like those times.
Right?
Good trade fair.
It gave me that export this and export that. Yeah. I mean, all that is gone now. We don't have that anymore.
But you mentioned Hilda Bassi. There's a Ghanaian lady about to start, I think, 1st January to cook.
Yeah, I've seen a flyer also.
Yeah. I think she's going for, I don't know if it's 9 days or something.
Well, let's see. And of course, if they go, they'll get our support. But I hear the first, when you look at the history, though, right from the outset, the first person on whom that test, a DNA test, a deoxyribonucleic acid test, was conducted on, was a Ghanaian. So it was actually a paternity test. I think it was in the UK, and a child had traveled and was returning to the UK, and they felt it wasn't the same person, and they had to test. So the first person a DNA test was conducted on was Ghanaian. It's a Guinness World Record. There are a number of them that we've had. I think Kevin Prince Boateng and Jerome Boateng also went into the books as the first, I think, in the World Cup to play as brothers on opposing sides in the same match.
Wow.
Yeah, so there are others that we already have. But speaking of which, so I'd like to find out from you, Mensah's song, right? Did you have any influence on it?
Oh no, I think he was jamming with one of our band members, Andras.
Okay.
And he's a Hungarian musician, and I think they were just jamming and they created that, together.
How do you feel about the song?
Oh, it's one of my favorite songs. I love it. That even in our set, it's Mensah's song, but we perform it in the FOKM Boys set sometimes when we are doing shows. It's very meditative, it's super introspective, and at the same time it's quite abrupt and urgent, and then the instrumentation.
Yeah. I just felt that was beautiful. You have the violin here, you have that there. You don't hear that much in Ghanaian music. I think the only time I've heard, and that's it in the background, the only time I've heard a bit of that is in songs like maybe Manifest's songs. You have some of them with those. Because I like Nas, especially because of that. Son of a blues player. You have the jazz bits and he's flowing on that.
I guess it's the school. Mensah Manifest, the same kind of school of influence of music. So we have similar taste in those kind of stuff.
No wonder you guys collaborate. But what can we expect from you in 2024 by way of music?
So much and too much, so much. Singles with different artists. I have one of my favorite rappers from Ghana, Ohima Dadao, doing a project with her. I have a really huge song coming out with Cheduble Ambule.
Oh wow, which is legend.
Yeah, which is it's a full circle moment for me, because when me and Fifi Sela, now he's called Excellency from Sasqua, TH for Kwajes, when we used to run through the village in Cape Coast, the villages, and we used to go to this guy called King Sounds and to go and record our freestyle raps with JD. I don't know if you remember JD.
I remember JD.
Yeah.
And
and we used to go in Ghana to park back.
Oh, he's producing now, JD?
No. It's,
okay.
I was just saying that we went to record.
Okay.
We went to freestyle.
Right.
And we heard on the radio in that shop of King Sounds, Onam Daddy. And so we were just there listening to this song. And for me, I was imagining like, hey, so who is walking around the world or in the environment not wearing shoes? This
Look at you today.
Strange, right? And so then years later, I meet Ambule, we become friends. He mentors me musically and, just career-wise. And then now we have remixed his song on Amdaze with featuring myself, or me featuring him, because we're changing to Min Amdaze, right?
Okay.
And so I'm really excited about that song. And then I have my own album and other projects. So there's a lot coming out. Blue Card is the album, the new one coming.
That's the title of the album.
Blue Card. Yeah, I can't say the rest on this show, but Blue Card something.
You can't say the rest of this.
Blue Card.
Okay.
Love.
Okay.
Blue Card.
Love.
Let's say it was Trump, but the P was a different letter. So Blue Card, Trump love.
Thank you for just holding it there. Which then, brings to mind as well. I just want to quickly run this by you before I take your major highlights from 2023. Maybe just one issue, something that really touched you. The anti-gay bill, the proper values and all of that. Mm-hmm. It's a mouthful. I never try to go the whole hall unless I have it in front of me. It's steadily progressing. There's been some pushback on that. I know your Sister Derby, has also spoken about it. I don't know whether you're aware, but there was this survey conducted by Afrobarometer, which shows that the level of intolerance of Ghanaians when it comes to LGBTQ is about 90%. And it's reflective across Africa, some 90+%.
Yeah.
People have said that you must respect people's culture, the values, where they come from, and how they appreciate whatever.
Yeah.
What do you think about that bill? And it's been watered down, from what I hear, to create specific legislation on that, but also to protect those in the community. What do you think about the bill?
Man, I feel like this bill has been one of the biggest, waste of resources of Ghanaian citizens, and at the same time, such a wicked instigator that provably has had people within the community have more frequent attacks, by mob or public, out in public. The bill is being presented as something Ghanaian, but the whole literature is basically a clone of the same bill passed in Hungary, being passed in Nigeria, Uganda, and at the moment, I can tell you
for a fact, there's nothing close to what the Ugandans passed.
Well, I know the Uganda
but
I'm saying that this is but you see, the literature started off the same. The literature started off the same. As you're saying, it's being watered down, but the general. The general wording and the way it was presented, and actually the bodies behind these bills, which are foreign bodies, are actively finding people within different countries to push this bill onto, citizens. I feel like this is an export of some kind of spiritual waste, something that is being passed away in the West, this homophobia, which, for example, I always tell people that if it wasn't tolerable to live among different sexualities and genders in this society, there would have been no laws created for it. I feel the colonizers came here and saw a certain freedom that they had to make against the law, because that was what they were also doing back there. We always think that being homophobic is some kind of African quality, but it's actually a Western quality. We have been super tolerant people till the advent of colonization, And so it is a foreign bill for us to just hate someone based on...
You don't think it reflects Africa?
No, I feel like our homophobia is colonially adopted. And now, because of the patriarchal, predatory nature of our society, if you're buying wachi by the road as a man, you can just tell a woman, hey, your botos is nice. So this just someone you don't know, you just start talking to them in a very sexually aggressive way, which is, and most of the time, maybe not invited. And people fear that this kind of people fear that this kind of way they treat women in the society, when this bill is passed, guys are going to come up to them and just say, hey, Charlie.
So you think there's a misunderstanding?
I think there's not a lot of knowledge about what it means to be, a queer person. That there's people who are asexual, they don't have any sexual attraction to anything. There's people, and that same sex or whatever kind of sex relationships should always be based on adult consent. 2 or more parties that are consenting to whatever is going on. How can that be criminalized when people are willingly taking part in something together?
Are you aware, though, that even in a place like the United States, where most people assume it is just wholesale, legitimate marriage and all of that, a number of states have their own legislations on this. There's a lot of fighting. Even the Florida governor, Ron DeSantis, who wants to contest Trump, is very sternly against. I mean, even in the United States, where people assume, it is wholesale, it is not. It's being highly contested. So then that goes back to what you said about it is foreign. If those are the people, it's not, is it?
No, it's foreign because, you see, these, like Ron DeSantis, these people you are mentioning are all these Southern Pentecostal, charismatic church. Most of the homophobia comes from the Christian and the Islamic religions. Like that's where most of the homophobia went.
How about the African traditional religion? I don't
think, I don't have the vast knowledge of that, but from my experience, or from what I've been exposed to, I've seen that within African traditional religions, the closer you get to the royal families, you start seeing androgynous people who you can't tell whether they're men or women. You see a lot of feminine men, you see a lot of masculine women, and even when you go to the shrines and so on, or you look at the depictions, you see that most people who are chosen to do this kind of soothsaying or seancing and stuff are people that are in between worlds. You look at them, they are either intersex or they are trans avatars or something, and so it's there, in the tolerance. There's so much evidence of it that we have been so tolerant and living in harmony with each other. And for me, I'm 1000% sure most of the homophobia is coming out of the religions. But you see, the people who are trying to pass the bill here and citing the Bible is if we start using the Bible
do you believe in the Bible?
I believe it exists, so I do believe in the Bible, but I'm not a Christian. I don't.
Okay. What do you practice?
I just practice taking my fair share of oxygen. That's I just.
Do you believe in a higher being, aka God?
I feel like God is our network of human beings. I feel like if human beings come together, we can accomplish almost anything on this planet. And I feel like that is a kind of God force, And so, yeah. That's
sexually speaking, are you straight?
I don't, at the moment, I would say I am,
At the moment?
Yeah, I feel like, according to what we classify as straight, I fall in that range, you see. But I'm also, let's say, I am also attracted to macho women.
Oh, wow.
Right? Yeah.
Now that's a revelation.
I'm just saying, so it's with hard body more than me, macho.
Oh.
So where is the line? You see what I'm saying? Where is the line? Because maybe that person's buttocks is harder than my homeboy's buttocks. But I'm managing to press it because that's my taste.
Okay, let's hold it right there. I mean, if this were another show, we could go into that.
No problem. I know.
But I appreciate.
No problem.
I appreciate that you've gone down that road. So many matters to discuss, but I want us to cap it off with this. So, reflecting on 2023, there have been demonstrations with young people participating. There have been petitions. There has been the Office of the Special Prosecutor delving into corruption-related issues. Still nothing really to show. Action, but results, not much. Sports, we're not doing so well. I don't know whether you're a fan of football.
I have a friend, sorry that I'm cutting you, but I have a friend, Kwame Kwachimafo, who at some point was working on a documentary which shows the trajectory or like the graph of Ghana's economic performance
tied to
the Black Stars' performance.
Yeah. I've seen something like that.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. Anyway, so I think that's what's happening to the team, because I mean, if you are holding back the dignity, the things that will give the citizens dignity, you won't draw the line at, oh, the football team there, let's give them the full, support they need. No, you start applying it in all aspects. Immediately you see one person as not having value or not being worthy of something they've trained their whole lives for, or are lucky to be in a position to be able to handle, and you disregard that person and pay them way less and not even pay them, you start feeling like, oh, once I've gotten away, let me try if I can get away. Because human beings, we're always experimenting, we're always trying our limits, And that's what's happening, is people are realizing that they can get away with so much, and so they're just trying to see how much more they can get away with.
Do you have a favorite sport?
My favorite sport is basketball. Yeah.
Okay.
That's my favorite sport.
All right. Any favorite basketball player? Is it going to be Jordan, Braun?
Yeah, I mean, it's
Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant.
I like the dunkers. So I liked Vince Carter.
Okay.
Jordan.
Now, what a choice.
Ja Morant.
Okay, the Grizzlies.
Yeah, not the team, but I'm not like a team person like that.
Oh yeah, I mean,
I just like
for the Memphis.
The guys who can fly. I like that. I've always had a dream to fly.
What do you think about the new guy, the rookie Victor Wembanyama? Have you seen him in
wow,
action?
yeah, it's mad.
The Spurs guy.
Yeah, it's mad. Like the way he's moving.
7'4".
The way he's moving with that height is like. But that's what's gonna happen. People are gonna keep creating children within that. And
it's just going to be...
they're getting taller, faster.
The gene pool is just going to explode.
That's what's happening.
So final words, but is there something that stood out for you in 2023 that you'd like to share? And then you can share your final words with us.
Man, I don't know. I don't know what's... For me, I don't know what was more wild than like the story of money in someone's room getting missing for so many months, then finding out way later, and then like all these stories of, oh, it's for this person, oh, it's this, and then returning the money, and it's just like, it blows my mind. Like, that's been, for me, one of, because I look around, like past Agboglushi, and I go around different parts of Accra, and Accra, at any point in time, at any given day, Accra is among the top 5 most polluted cities in the world. And then the person who is in charge of taking care of that problem is going to court to to sue somebody for something that, it's just mad. Like, they're doing something else. The city is dirty with plastic and all these kind of filth, and someone's bedroom is dirty with money. It's wild.
That's quite an analogy.
Yeah, the person who's supposed to help, like, facilitate the cleaning of that city and all the filth there, they are just dirtying their room with cash, different types of cashes.
Different types of cashes. Cashes of money.
Yeah, no, cashes.
I know, right? different currencies. There's Abdul Razak. I see you, Abdul. You say, good morning. Enjoying your conversation with Kubolor. Looks like a lot of people are also enjoying the conversation. Before you go, is there something, please, something very radio or TV?
Yeah.
Is there anything you would like to, one thing I've been looking forward to, what's his name? Native Funk Lords. What's that?
Eddie Blay.
Eddie Blay.
Yes.
I mean, any day I get him. I remember the song with Vote for Me, make a chop president. Every day the taps go flow beer. I remember those lyrics and stuff. Is there anything you'd like to?
It's actually inspiring me, like that, that the taps will flow. We, like me and Angel Maxine and a couple of people, we are putting together a political party, right?
Angel Maxine, the trans
woman, musician. We are putting together a political party, and
political party.
Yeah, and one of the promises we're going to make Ghanaians is free beer, and we're going to talk to the beer companies that Friday to Saturday, we're going to give free beer from a certain time to a certain time. That's one of the promises.
Free beer?
Yes, that would be...
How are you going to manage that? Who's going to pay for it?
No, the companies, that's going to be their social responsibility to keep the happiness.
CSR?
Yeah.
Their corporate social responsibility. Give out free beer.
Yeah, to keep the people happy, you know? Hey. And so that's going to be one of the things. And the party is called TTP.
Is it a name we can put on air?
Or it's a name that you are allowed to put on air when like homophobes are speaking. They say it all the time.
So TTP is fine.
Okay.
TTP is fine.
Yeah.
I can see through your shades, and there's a little mischief in there.
So the eyes are glinting, right?
They're glinting.
No, that's me and Angel's project for next year. Is that we're going to contest. You know, we're going to also be campaigning alongside
the main.
Yeah, the other parties. We're going to campaign alongside them and also be making our promises and see the one that Ghanaians like more.
Okay, would you like to do something for us, maybe with is it the castanets or the little thing, the kushka?
Kushka.
Right before we go, this is how we're going to sign out, yeah? 1, 2.
Revolution, the only solution. Revolution, no more pollution. Revolution, the only solution. Revolution, no more pollution. Make they no fool you. They want to rule you. Me, they no fit fool me. If they try me, they go feel me. See, then they see we like toys. Then they talk to we like we be small boys. They thief all wanna joy. If they no go build, then we go destroy. Oh, revolution.
Wow. Revolution. Is that the title of the song?
Yeah, that's the working title.
Okay, is it a work in progress? Is it something you've
done?
I
mean, I've been putting videos of it on my Instagram. I perform it in random places, just like this. But
you do pretty well on that, though.
Thank you.
Impressive.
I've been playing for some years now. And a producer called Snow Beats, he has made the production for this Revolution song. It's gonna come out next year, early. And he's also the one who produced the song I have with Ambule. So stuff is coming out, my album, menses, singles, different stuff. And
all right, yeah. You have a Christmas message. Do you even celebrate Christmas?
No, I don't have a Christmas message, but...
Do you celebrate Christmas?
Like, if people are celebrating and they invite me, I'll go and enjoy some. But other than that, I'll just be, in my ghetto. Krapu, I'll be in the cemetery in Teshi.
Doing what?
Oh, you see, that cemetery in Teshi, Gomi, is like the only place where a lot of trees. So a lot of youth go and like to sit under the trees, and it's shady, it's breezy. We need more trees in this country. Like, if they can return the trees that they said they transplanted from the cathedral site, at least before they continue the project or till they continue it, they should come and plant those trees back there. Right. For now.
Wanlov, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me
this morning. It's been exciting. I've been looking at the messages and it's been pretty curious, pretty exciting.
Oh wow!
Thank you so much
for
coming
me,
through.
Thanks.
Still to come, of course. This has been. Do just hold on for me. This has been Wanlov the Kubolor. He's a musician, and he also says officially, I can introduce him as the class clown. As he said. It's been interesting hanging out with him this morning. Still to come on the AM show, I will share some snippets of my blunt thoughts with you over 2023. We still have Manuel to come. He sings Christian music. He's also going to come through with some Christmas carols, and we'll also be telling you about the latest from the Bank Hospital, that private entity, and the amazing things they are doing. Do stay with us. We'll be right back. Well, thank you for staying with me. It's the last Friday of the year, and yes, I'm going to deliver my blunt thoughts. But this time, it's going to be just a reflection on what the year has brought, and which is why I have titled today's installment, Total Recall 2023 in Retrospect. Total Recall 2023 in Retrospect. I'm just going to walk us through some of the topical issues we dealt with on a monthly basis every year, from January till now. And I'll be going very quickly because there are a number of slides. So just stay with me, Ghana 4. Let's just recollect some of what we discussed in this year. So let's start with January 2023. We had to talk about the COVID-19 vaccine procurement. You still remember it was a big issue. And the amount paid to different entities, UNICEF or Avast, $120+ million. The amount utilized by UNICEF or Avast, 38.32. Outstanding amounts that had to be paid, 81.87, or that had to be used. Next slide. Then in terms of amounts mobilized in 2020, according to the Finance Ministry versus the Auditor General, the Finance Ministry claimed that what we had secured on the back of COVID-19 was 18.19 billion cedis, and according to the Auditor General, 19.11 billion Ghana cedis. It created some disparities, but nothing really came of those disparities. There were explanations. Whether they amounted to much, we don't know. Next slide. Then we also took a look at the Special Audit Report on COVID-19 expenditure. Again, Finance Ministry versus the Auditor General. You would notice here that Korea, Germany, the government of Ghana, some of what had been given were not added here as far as the Finance Ministry was concerned, which was a bit of a no-brainer or something to scratch your head about. But the Auditor General had these even without those ones. Let's go to the next slide. And then the utilization of the funding. We were told about supply of food items, free water and electricity, evacuation of Ghanaians, support for small and medium-scale enterprises, purchase of medical supplies, cost of mandatory quarantine, allowances to frontline health workers. You remember this became problematic, this bit. Allowances that were supposedly given to them. But all of these were what were cited, but is this what all of it went into? When you talk about COVID-19, I remember the former Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources coming to Parliament to defend the $40+ million she had been given. I wasn't convinced, but I guess Parliament was. Next slide. Then there was also the utilization of Bank of Ghana COVID-19 bonds. The receipts were expended on liability management, statutory payments to SNIT and the GET Fund, budgetary support. Those were the claims that were made. Next slide. And it goes on and on to the utilization of the IMF's rapid credit facility as well. Let's go to the next slide. All of this feeds into that discussion, and supposedly those amounts of money were expended on, like I said, medical equipment, medicine, life insurance, among others. Next slide. I told you I'd be going very quickly because it's all 12 months and a few that we've picked. So let's hit February 2023. Some of the topical matters. The DDEP, exempt pensioners from the DDEP. You remember this one. So your continuous picketing over DDEP unnecessary. That was what the finance minister was telling them, that you're coming here to picket. It's unnecessary. But they found it necessary. Eventually, they got what they wanted. Really, there is no reason for us to be sitting here because that assurance has been given on paper, but it didn't take being given on paper to materialize. Next slide. Gabio Tridako posted, for a former CJ to take up a noble cause such as she did, but at such late hour when all was done, and for all that publicity, she owed it to herself and her social standing to have understood the issues far better than what she exhibited last Friday. She is bigger than that. It was a bit of a jab at her. Then what was the response? And this is actually not this picture here, but let's go ahead with it. Sophia Akufu said, Insults are the weapon of the pin-brained. I'm not going to trade words with pin-brains. I'm sorry, Gabio Tridako can call me paranoid. I don't care. We're talking about people. We're talking about human beings. We're talking about people who have served this country and have served well and served hard. Not easy service. The picture, our apologies for that. And then the DDEP, Final results we had in billions of cedis. Initial target 137, first revision 132, second revision 130. What we arrived at, the third revision 97.7 billion. Next slide. And then we were also told about the Finance Ministry's explanation. The outstanding principal and amounts presented in the press release differed from the outstanding principal announcements, and it went on and on. I don't want to bore you too much. We've already been through that. Let's go to the next slide. We all know how that affected, everything else. In March, the third month of the year, we were looking at a pregnant woman filling potholes on the Obuasi Road. We've been talking about roads ad infinitum, ad nauseum. And you can see the pictures there. Unemployment mixed with poor roads, a deadly cocktail. Next slide. Then we looked at some staff at the Controller and Accountant General's Department, wahala never they finished for this country, who had rejected allocation of saloon cars to the department because they felt, why were they getting this when other departments, agencies and stuff were getting that? The question is, do you need this before you can work? But that was what they put forward. They argued that counterparts at the Ministry of Finance were driving four-wheel drive vehicles while their bosses were being compelled to drive Toyota Camrys, a saloon car. It tells you where our thinking has gone as a country. Next slide. Then we could also look at the Professor Frimpong Boateng report. Let me tell you that I did not take one excavator for anything. They know the truth. Now things are coming up. We know those who are behind it. And the party people who are there, people in government, including Jubilee House, who are doing galamsey and so on, even now. That was Professor Frimpong Boateng. And we all know what trickled over from that report. And eventually, when you come through, you would hear of how it was said that this report by the AG, that this report lacked no merit, that it had nothing in there. Let's go to the next slide. Then we head to April 2023. UK red lists Ghanaian health workers, and the UK put Ghana and 53 others on red list for health workers recruitment. Why? It was clear that while they were taking, everything here was going into the what would I say? The quagmire, into the doldrums. We're still bleeding even as we speak. And that's the situation. That's the tale of the tape. Anesthetists, I think over 40% of them have left the country. Nurses leaving in droves. Teachers as well. Let's go to the next slide. Then, so the migration of health workers. The countries listed had a universal health coverage index that was lower than 50, based on which these decisions were taken. In Ghana, so the density of doctors, nurses, and midwives were below the global median of 48.6 per 10,000 population, meaning one health worker in Ghana was taking care of 206 people. It goes on and on. But let's go to the next slide. So this is just a rehash. And in terms of exporting nurses, these are some of the places and what they had done. Germany, 3,000 Ghanaians going there. We didn't have statistics, but we knew that in other countries they were going as well. Next slide. Let's head into May. We're approaching the 6-month point. 5th month now, then we'll get there. We also had education. This incident really broke my heart. The drowning of school pupils. And it happened about twice or thrice within the year. So we're looking at May the 10th, 2023, the Fana Botiano area. Pupils involved 12, number of deaths 9. And January 24, 2023, Wayokope. And then you saw that pupils involved 20 and 8. So January and then May as well. Next slide. And it tells you more about what had happened there. Next slide. Again, so you see the scenes and what a disaster this was. It hits home personally. Let's go to the next slide. Now, midway through the year. TOR and the missing oil. And now we are talking about SML and everything in between. Well, the amount missing, over 105,000 liters. Aviation turbine kerosene, 252,000 liters. Electrical cables, 18 drums. Some of you have forgotten about this. Yes, we did this. And we can go to the next slide. And you look at Torenco. You remember we were talking about them at a point in time. Lease period, 6 years, barrels to refine per year, 8 million. Annual rent, $1 million. But, next slide. But in terms of power cut intentions, okay, so tied to that conversation. Some of them may not necessarily, because we put all of them together. But in terms of an imminent shutdown of power, you remember the IPPs and their standoff with government. In fact, it is still ongoing on some level. Power cut intention, July the 1st. This was when they were giving us deadlines. June the 20th, emergency meeting, interim payment, 30% of outstanding arrears. And even this, there was a problem here. And government debt owed 1.4 billion. But this is not necessarily what the figure is currently. Let's move on. Then going back to the nurses leaving in droves, we went back to this issue in that month. And this Giftiayi, Greater Accra Regional Hospital, she's there. She said, my intensive care unit alone lost 20 nurses to the UK and US in the last 6 months with grave implications. Care is affected as we are not able to take any more patients. There are delays and it costs more in mortality. Patients die. Yeah. Next slide. And it tells you more about why this was happening and the statistics. Let's go to the next slide. So now we hit July. We're gradually getting to the end of the year. The Accra Sky Train project, I remember saying at that time, they're all from crying. Even the one on the floor, we know the seat up. But anyway, $2 million paid to Africa Investor Holdings Limited. Next slide. And then the minority in parliament called for prosecution of the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund Board, and management payment was made without feasibility studies, and on and on. The Auditor General's 2021 report raised concerns about the payment. Next slide. And then we also had the entire tussle with Standard & Poor's, Fitch, and all those other global rating agencies, for which reason we said we're going to create our own African ratings agencies. But we subscribed to them. They did not compel us. That's just to situate the conversation. Kenneth Ofori-Atta said it was time for Africa to have its own credit rating agency. However, major challenges such as systemic bias and limited data were still a hindrance. The president difficulties in the economy were exacerbated by the reckless behavior of ratings agencies that engaged in downgrades, shutting Ghana out of the capital market and turning the liquidity crises into solvency crises. Next slide. August 2023. Some of what we discussed, Cecilia Dapa saga, cash stolen. Well, when Wanlov the Kubolor was in here with me a short while ago, he was talking about money in certain people's houses and sanitation and everything. But these were the sums of cash. I will not bore you with it. We spoke about a total $1.4 million. Of course, if you do the dynamics, it may be slightly less. But in terms of property, cash stolen and everything, that matter is still being pursued in court. Next slide. And then there was the Bank of Ghana's gargantuan losses on the back of the DDEP. Yes, 60.8 billion. It has also impacted its ability to play certain roles as far as the banking sector is concerned. Next slide. Then we hit September. We're gradually getting into December. September, Eva Menz on revenue collection. She went to, I think it was the Stanbic Graphic breakfast meeting and said a few things that many people who watch the economic space were like, yo, Wagwan, what are you saying? So we do not collect enough revenue compared to our peers. There is a disconnect between GDP and what comes to the state. Half of revenue generated goes to pay salaries. Ghanaians should pay their taxes so the society can develop. I do agree, the tax net is pretty small, but you don't overburden those who are already paying. And the VIT and everything else that is coming up, I don't know how she feels about it, but anyway, those were her comments. Next slide. Then, the president on economic crisis is difficult. I'm the first to admit it. I've said it several times, but at the end of the day, I believe when the moment comes, Ghanaians will reflect on who best can get us out of this difficulty. At this point, people were asking, has the president given up? So who is that next person who will get us out? I don't know. Maybe you have the answer. And then there was Occupy Julobi House. That was the name they gave it, okay? And everything happening and the demonstrators being prevented. Next slide. And then finally being allowed to demonstrate. Next slide. Next slide. October 2023. Then there was also this. We found it pretty interesting. Reactions to protests. So Occupy Julobi House. This is how some Ghanaians were treated. Yet in the States, Joe Biden joined a protest in the USA, saying that those, I think it was truck drivers or so, they actually deserved the raise. That was Joe Biden becoming first sitting US president to join the picket line. He, the president, went and joined picketers. In this country, you don't even get to present a petition sometimes. Next slide. And then Governor Addison and the Occupy Bank of Ghana saga, the demonstration. Next slide. And his refusal to receive the petition. But I also said that, Charlie, you're coming to give me a petition that I should go, and you want me to come and receive it. He'll be some way. Then, time to wake up. I shared my thoughts on this. Ecuador, among other countries, many of them in South America, there was swollen shoot, among other diseases, back in South America a long time ago. Their cocoa production dwindled. That was how Ghana and the rest came up. Now, they are doing this on large swathes of land, and we are suffering here. Some are even smuggling it out. Question is, if we are not careful, what will happen to Ghana? Will we lose our place? November and December, and then we are gone. November, there was the bit about the American ambassador to Ghana talking about forex inflows and how they would be tied to this LGBTQ bill if we passed it into law. And then finally, December. What do we have for December? The 3 billion Ghana cedi lie, SML, and everything in between. That is what is the tail of the tape. That is what runs through. So these are some of the topical matters we've discussed this year on your favorite Blunt Thoughts. Just to give you a bit of retrospection on where we've been and where we still are. I'll leave it to you to read between the lines. Have we made any progress, especially in our fight against corruption, schools under trees, and everything in between? Ghana schools of shame. Are we getting better leadership? What more would we like to see next year? I want that to percolate in your mind ahead of 2024. And that is why I put this together with my team. I'd also like to salute Kofi Ajay, Tony, and Caleb, all those who helped put this together, Mac Daniel as well. These are my blunt thoughts on the last Friday of the year, shared with you as always, passionately. Thank you for watching. Welcome back on the AM show. Now we're going to be telling you about the Bank Hospital and how they become the first private hospital in Ghana to perform a kidney transplant successfully, among others. There are so many things they've been up to. Well, it's my pleasure to introduce to you at this point Dr. Charlotte Osafo, Medical Director, the Bank Hospital. Good morning. Good to have you join the conversation. I have a history with your hospital.
Oh, really?
There was a time when it was shut, and I was putting out stuff there on social media in my former place of work and making a lot of noise. People didn't like it. Well, look, today it's open and you're working. So some of us have a history dating back many years to the Bank Hospital.
That's great, and it's good to know.
But tell me, the Bank Hospital, what have you been up to? Before we even get into this major surgery you've performed, what has the Bank Hospital been up to?
Oh, the Bank Hospital has been up to so many things. We've had, we've launched our cath lab, where we do, people with heart attack and who have got blocked vessels. We can, manage those cases in our place. We opened our dialysis unit, which is, I would say, the largest in Ghana so far.
I
think
see.
We have a 22.
Your dialysis center?
Yes,
wow.
As we speak.
Even bigger than the one at Kolibu?
Yes, for now, yes. 22-bed station dialysis unit.
How many people can you take at a time? 22?
22.
At a go?
Yes, at a go. At a go, we can take 22. We have isolation, for people who have got infections as well. And then we also have our pediatric unit, and which takes all, children, for.
So you've been up to quite a lot.
And then NICU, that's the intensive care unit for neonates.
Neonatal.
We opened that one as well. And then we opened our orthopedic session, where we have a specialist in orthopedics who takes care of people with broken bones and abnormalities in their bones. We also have an obstetric and gynae unit.
Maybe, sir, I see that there's a whole lot.
There's a whole lot.
But even before we get into the bit about your new surgery that you've performed, tell us just a little bit about yourself. I should have actually started.
Oh, myself, yes. My name, as
just
you know,
a teeny weeny bit.
Yes. I'm the medical director of the Bank Hospital. I'm also the head of the medical department of Bank of Ghana. And I'm also a physician and a kidney specialist.
Oh, you yourself, you're
Yes,
a kidney specialist.
yes,
Okay, then let's go right ahead. Tell us about this latest surgery that you've conducted, the kidney transplant. It's not that common in our part of the country, is it? Or the part of the world?
Yeah, I mean, kidney transplant, to be able to perform kidney transplant, it's not that easy. Yes, we've done a few in Ghana before, but for the private sector, this is the first time we've actually organized a kidney transplant, which has been quite successful.
Were you part of the surgery?
I'm not a surgeon, so I'm a physician. So we, the nephrologist, what we do is that we identify the patient, we prepare them, work them up, and we identify the donor as well, and then we do everything. And when we are ready, we hand them over to the surgeon, who will remove the kidney from the donor and give it to the recipient, and then afterwards they will hand them over back to us for us to manage.
Now, with this particular surgery, there was a collaboration between Indians and Ghanaians.
Yes.
Tell us a bit about
correct. Yes. So we had our local team made up of the nephrologist, myself, Dr. Dominic Kumashi, and we have our local surgeon called Dr. Solomon Brookman. So we formed the local team. But of course, as I said, transplant is not done by one person. So we have other team members. We had anesthetists, and then we had other supporting nurses, who have been trained, to support us, ICU nurses, critical care nurses. And then from the team from Apollo Hospital, led by a woman who is very well experienced, in transplantation. She's done that for more than 25 years, Yeah, she has a track record of, doing excellent, kidney transplants. She came with her team, a urologist and a technician, and then 2 nurses and an anesthetist. Even though, we have our own anesthetist, they had to bring
They also brought theirs.
Yes.
So tell us, what are the processes? Just walk us briefly through what happens when the surgery is conducted.
Okay, so when the surgery, on the day, a few days before the surgery, we admit both the donor and the recipient. But again, you must know that, because of this issue about people donating, like selling their kidneys and things like that, before even the surgery is done, after we, the nephrologists, have worked up the patient and everything, we have an independent assessment committee that comes and now looks at both of them and says, okay, we ask them questions and then clear them and say that we are happy that this person is not selling his or her kidney to the other person. So once that is cleared, the surgeons now come in. They also do their own evaluation to see whether they are happy with what we have done. If they are happy, what we do is that we admit the patient, and then on the morning of the transplant, they will come and then consent both the donor and the recipient. One good thing about what we did was that we did a keyhole surgery for the donor.
Keyhole surgery. What is that? What is
so that means that you are not going to do a big scar. You are not going to make a big incision, to remove the kidney. So you make a small incision and then you use your laparoscopic equipment, and then you go in there and then remove the kidney, and then you make another incision to try and remove it. The advantage of that is that the donor does not stay in hospital for more than 3 days, unless maybe something else happens. But it allows the donor, to be out of hospital quickly.
Okay.
And so once
that's what
that's what we did, and that's what we will be doing. Yes, unless maybe there is some contraindication to the laparoscopic
but tell us this whole bit about organ donation. What is your take on it?
As long as it's done in a way that is transparent, I think that is okay. Organ donation is good. you want to give your kidney to your loved one or your friend and everything.
Especially
it has to be done.
Those,
those, not to sell, but because you care. You can also do it in an altruistic way, that you just care about humanity, you see people suffering, and you willingly want to give your kidney out to somebody who is suffering. That all those things are allowed, but
and
sometimes
I think it's important to state here that you can survive on one kidney.
Oh yes, definitely, but God is generous. He's giving all of us 2 kidneys, so if everything is checked and you are okay, you can donate 1 kidney and still, live
once you go through
life.
the legal process.
Yes.
To cap off the conversation, tell us a bit about the Bank Hospital Foundation and where you can be located.
Okay, so the Bank Hospital Foundation is a foundation that we've set up to try and support, kidney transplantation and other, surgeries that are quite expensive, for people to do. You know that kidney transplant is not cheap, and most people who suffer from kidney failure are people who don't have, the means to be able to get kidney transplant done. So the whole idea is to support, those who cannot afford to have the kidney transplant done. We set up the foundation to try and support. Bank Hospital is located at Cantonment, and it is very close to NAFTI. So once you know NAFTI, Bank Hospital.
You are there. And that's the beautiful facility we are showing on TV. Any final words, Dr. Osafo?
I just want to caution people, in this festive season about eating anyhow. People should be mindful about what they eat. People should not go in and then, buy over-the-counter medication, especially painkillers, which can cause kidney failure. They should also be careful about herbal medications because they don't know what it contains. And then people who have hypertension and diabetes, I just want to encourage them to take their medications and control their blood pressures and their diabetes well to prevent them from getting kidney failure. But should you have kidney failure, you have the option to have kidney transplant.
You have the Bank Hospital
to come to and not go to India. You can do it here.
Now we're advancing. Thank you so much, Dr. Osafo, for joining the conversation. That is Dr. Charlotte Osafo, Medical Director at the Bank Hospital. And up next, we're going to be just giving you good cheer as we get into next year. Manuel Bless is going to be blessing us with this wonderful music. Stay with us. Okay.
You find there are 3 components of fires: heat, fuel, and oxygen.
Right.
Oxygen is all around us. Fuel is some of the oil that leak from the car, and then the heat already coming from the car comes together, making the 3 elements complete and then starting a fire.
Right.
So it's important to always look out for leakages in your car, and if you see leakages, try and have it sorted out before it gets out of hand.
And keep a fire extinguisher in your
keep
car.
a fire, that's the most important thing.
I know the things.
Thank you very much. You see, the funny thing is that people think that when you come, you just have to come and pour water on it. See, we don't fight every fire with water just like
What
that.
kind of fights what kind of fires do you fight with water, and which ones don't you fight with water?
So we don't fight electrical fires with water, or we don't fight fires that involve oils, or liquefied petroleum gases with water. A classic example is this unfortunate incident that happened at Circle, where people lost their lives. You realize that on that day it was raining. It was raining so bad. So if water...
The Vienna incident, yeah.
If water could quench every fire, why did we have that disaster on that day? Because then the fire service wouldn't even have had to come there because there was so much water there.
Yeah.
So that should let people understand. Even if you're frying your own plantain at home, and then you dip your plantain in water, and then you put it in the oil, you see the ch that you get. So imagine the ch.
Right. Okay.
Literally.
Please continue from the chi and tell us all the other things that we should look out for in the domestic setting. Okay.
So then when you do that, realize that. So imagine if it's a big fire with so many oil, and you just go and pour water on it. You can imagine the kind of feedback that you get from that. So that is how we don't fight just every fire. So if we get to a place and realize that the fire has to do with electricals, then we call on ECG to cut power supply to the area before we're able to apply water on the fire.
All right.
So when our men get there, we've called on ECG to cut power supply, and there's a delay, then they'll draw conclusions that we've come without water. Because at the end of the day, we came to service the good people of Ghana, but not to die. So if there's
our lives are also
very important. If we get there and there's electricity power, you realize that even if you have a little water in your hand and you get close to an electrical appliance, you see the shock that you get. So imagine if it's an electrical fire and you go and pour water on it, you end up even killing people around you. So people should understand the way we work and appreciate it.
Your 5 top key fire safety tips for the home.
For the home. Yes. 1, keep your gas cylinders at home, outside and not inside the kitchen.
Right.
In that case, if there's any leakage from the gas cylinder, the thread dissipates into the air and reduces the risk of fires coming inside. Also, when you fill your gas, please do not, when you fill your gas and you come home, please do not immediately connect. You can connect it, but do not immediately engage the gas and start cooking.
Why
Wait still. You see, gas expands. So once you know it's been in the car moving up and down, it's been expanding. You need to let it settle so that it can reduce any risk. So that's one thing. Also, people should learn to put off their appliances at home.
That's 3.
Yes, that's 3. Occasionally, run your hoses, your gas tube through soapy water. Engage the gas tube and then close the lid and then run it through soapy water. So once you look out for bubbles. If you see bubbles coming out, then you know that there's leakage in your gas cylinders. Also, people should avoid burning. At first, we used to say indiscriminate burning, but if you can avoid burning altogether, that would be the best, because fires carry embers. So you realize that when you are burning, the embers keep flying into the air. Because of the Harmattan season, there's dryness or lack of moisture in the environment. So the fire may not start in your house, but then the embers might fall on a combustible material somewhere. To take its time to smolder, and when people are not around, then the fire becomes so light. The 5th one, the most important, please get a fire extinguisher at home. People prioritize, as I said, their security more than their safety. So people have a lot of burglar proofs and a lot of padlocks, and even have security cameras at home, but only have a single fire extinguisher at home.
Jesus, my Jesus, I love you more than I could ever say. Whoa, Jesus, my Jesus, I love you more than I could ever sing. For 1,000 words will never be enough. Billion songs would only soon fall short. Jesus, my Jesus, I love you, oh, but you love me so much better. So much better. I wanna sing every song and give you glory. I wanna stay right here at your throne of mercy. Let me behold you and the wonders of your glory. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Jesus, my Jesus, who am I that you were so mindful of me? Oh, Jesus, precious Jesus, I look around and I thank you for your mercy. For 1,000 words will never be enough. Billion songs would only soon fall short. Ooh, Jesus, my Jesus, I love you, oh, but you love me so much better. So much better. I want to sing every song and give you glory. I want to stay right here at your throne of mercy. Let me behold you and the wonders of your glory. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Oh, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus.
A round of applause for the man, Manuel Bless. You have indeed blessed us this morning. Put it there. And we're going to make more time to do this with Manuel Bless. It's been quite a packed show today, but just tell our viewers a bit about yourself and the genre of music you sing in just about some 30 seconds.
Yes, sir. Hi, I'm Manuel Bless. So I'm a Christian worshiper. I'm an artist. I make Christian music pretty much. I released a new song recently.
Okay, what is it called?
30th of November. It's called You Can Do All Things.
You Can Do All Things,
yes,
right?
Sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Where can people find it?
Everywhere. Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, anywhere that you stream music from, you can find it. Yeah.
All right. I'll tell you what, you've been a blessing to us this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you for blessing us.
It's a pleasure.
Manuel Bless, and who knows, maybe next time he'll have something up his sleeve. That's what we have for you this morning on the AM show. It's been a blessing having you join the conversation. My name is Benjamin Akakpo. Have a happy new year in advance. Up next, Joy News Desk.